how good this fucking piece is, Lisa.
I poured my heart and soul into it.
We can see, and I love the Easter eggs. The amount of Easter eggs in this that so many people have already noticed, from like the Absolute in the corner, obviously referencing Baldur's Gate, to then the Solas TV screen, which is a mystery still today on if this is a real shot of Solas and Dreadwolf or not, to just some good old memes. The dragon will age, of course.
We've got the do not drink poultice on the right.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
nice.
Antivan Crow's donation bag on the table next to the straight from Antiva Pizza Hut.
We've also got the tinfoil hat and the Legends of Lovering. If anybody's seen our D&D sessions, the newspapers are all potential D&D campaigns, and you may notice that there may be a third one in the corner there that Lambo is hiding.
I'm hiding a fire, first of all.
And the evidence.
Yeah, with that newspaper, you might be noticing a certain character associated with Jack that might be reintroduced for that
You may remember a certain character from 2020, you may not. It's okay if you don't, but they may potentially be reintroduced at some point soon.
But we also got, like, Morrigan's ring is attached to my warden. We got Vinny without his scarf chewing up a newspaper, and then Vinny associated with the Nug King.
For those who don't know about Vinny, Lisa, what can you tell us about Vinny?
Vinny is the best Nug. He died, but he is still with us in our hearts.
He got stomped by an ogre.
But he's a spirit now, so it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is a spirit of loyalty.
Hence why he's so loyal to the Legends of Lovering campaign that he's chewing up the the news.
That's fine. If he starts chewing up a bit more, we've got all of our weapons in the corner there.
Are you threatening Vinny?
No, I'm saying we can shoot him with a stick. I'm not going to use my sword.
Said we have swords.
I've seen what Vinny can do. He bit a darkspawn to death.
That is true. That is very much true. Yeah.
He was more powerful than me. I also love the Dragon Nut, which is a deep, deep, deep cut of Marshall's, where he believes that the blight will be cured by, how do we put this politely?
When a warden and a warden love each other very much.
No, when a king and a warden love each other very much.
What do they do?
Alistair.
They went to the deep roads. You know, maybe you should read The Calling.
But the cure of the blight is in pregnancy? Is that the idea of it, I believe?
Well, it's supposedly in dragon's blood.
I was going to say, yeah,
and it's
I think
because
it's more
Merrick,
the bloodline.
It's a bloodline, yeah. It's because Merrick seemingly has dragon blood in his bloodline because his ancestor drank dragon blood.
And the dragons make their, like, the cysts around the blight to reject the taint.
Put two and two together and then...
Either that, or if you're horny enough, you can resist the blight, which our community, never going to be blighted. Not even close.
Nope.
With that, I think we should get into what we're actually doing here today.
You take it as a way, Lambo. So today we have a special thing that Lambo has planned.
In anticipation for Dreadwolf and the companions we'll all inevitably fall in love with, get heartbroken by, or potentially murder. We've done it in the past. Sorry, Anders.
I'm looking at you, Lisa.
I only killed Anders in one playthrough.
I have done a video on this subject before, but I thought it would be fun to get all three of us here and go through every companion of the three major games, excluding Awakening, sorry Nathaniel Howe fans, and going through a tier list and ranking where each of us would place them. And as opposed to making three separate tier lists, I thought we could go in order, alphabetical, so Jack, myself, then Lisa, ranking where we would put a companion, and then if we're not in agreement as to where we would put them on the list, we then discuss and move them around and see what we get to at the end, if our tastes all align, or if there's going to be some blood spilled over certain elves or dwarves.
I think there will. We're going to see how divisive our opinions are, because while me, Lisa, and Lambo talk all the time about our companions and stuff, still we haven't really done anything like this together, and I actually haven't done anything like this on my channel. I know that a lot of people know that I'm a Josephine Mancer, I love Alistair, I love Solas, but like overall, I don't think I've shared that many opinions on all these characters together, and I think it's going to be really fun just to kind of fight it out on where we can each put these characters on this collected tier list. So let's see what arguments we get into.
So I am looking forward to this.
For those who haven't seen my video, I made a video about ranking all the Origins companions, and I did it in a way of, I only ranked them based on all their content in Dragon Age Origins, so I didn't include any books, comics, other media in general I did not include. That is on the table for this episode since we've all read basically every book, comic, and other media. So, just as an example, what were the comics with Varric, Isabella, and Alistair?
The Silent Grove, Those Who Speak, and Until We Sleep.
So, just as an example for those, in my original video, I would have put Alistair in like a C, just based on Origins.
Alistair
but with
in
the
a
comic,
C?
Hey, no, I didn't put him in C. My video, he's an A. I'm making an example.
Alright, good.
I would put him in C, but because I know what happens in the books and in Inquisition and other games and media, I'd put him up to an A. That's an example of how other media could influence our decisions for this. I am not saying Alistar is C tier.
We're already fighting, guys.
It's already begun.
We will go in alphabetical order of companions and alphabetical order of hosts here. So, first up, Jack, where would you place Alistar?
S. Do I need to explain? He is a golden retriever. He has the best quotes in the entire series. Have you ever licked a lamppost in winter? My favourite, though, is, do you ever think clouds look down on us and think that one is shaped like an idiot? He's inspired by the characters of the series Buffy. He's just a lovely, brilliant companion, witty, and has a brilliant storyline that, yes, while it may be a bit too familiar to Jon Snow from Game of Thrones, it is beautifully written. He offers plenty of exposition into this world for new players. His rivalry with Morrigan, fantastic. He's just a really great, wholesome character, and for me personally, he's just inspired me. He's got that Ferelden swagger. He's voice acted by Steve Templeman, who has a beautiful sounding voice that resonates true. Controversially, I think there are a few things wrong with Alistar, and I love his character development from the comics to then being this scorned, at least in my playthrough, where my Grey Warden married Honora and became the Prince Consort. In my playthrough, where in Inquisition, where I had him as my Grey Warden, he was scorned, bitter, and somewhat annoyed with my Grey Warden, understandably so, and I loved that character arc. I really love Alistar, and I'd like to see him return again. S tier, S tier, S tier.
So, me next. So, in my Origins video, I originally had him in A tier, just based on everything you do in Origins. I love him for being the lovable idiot, the secret that he reveals once you get to Red Cliff, which basically encapsulates most of the game's story and has major outcomes depending on what you do at the end of the game. He's big, soft golden retriever. I've only done his romance a handful of times, but he's a very lovable, sweet man, and his banter with Morrigan, since I always have her in the party, is absolutely to die for. With his inclusion in Dragon Age Inquisition, either showing up as the king or being the warden contact, and the comics, I agree that he should be in S tier. I can definitely think of other characters I would put above him, but I think he's fine to be in S tier.
As for me, I am gonna say S, as in swooping is bad.
Yes, Lisa! Yes!
Yeah, I definitely agree with y'all. What I like a lot about Alistar is how you can kind of influence how he turns out at the end. You can either let him be as the way he is, or you can harden him, which makes him a little bit more serious and makes him stand up for himself. And I like that a lot. And he plays a big role in Origins as well, because he can become king, or he can stay a warden. He can die at the end if we choose to have him kill the archdemon. We can have him be part of the ritual. Because of all that, and his personality, and just because how funny he is, and as you mentioned, Lambo, the banter between him and Morrigan is so funny. It's great. That is why I think he should be an S as well.
How odd. We have a dog in the party and still Alistar is the dumbest one.
Yes.
That's a quote that Morrigan says. It's like the first thing she says when you recruit Barkspawn. Speaking of Barkspawn, though, they absolutely deserve to be in a tier above S, but we won't be putting them on. So just all Mabari go to heaven. All Mabari are best boy tier. That's above S. Everything's good. Everything's happy. Dogs are the best. So all of us agreed. S tier, pretty happy. Good start.
Yep.
This one I feel like probably be a little bit different for everyone, but Jack, how do you feel about Anders?
I'm gonna be
nice. That is the correct response.
I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna give Anders S. I'm gonna give Anders a C.
And that's being nice, is it?
That's me being nice. I'm not the biggest fan of Anders. I understand his character development. I like his growth from Awakening to Dragon Age 2. I like the whole justice storyline, so that's why, he's not absolutely the bottom. But his personality doesn't really gel with me. I don't really know what I don't like about him. I just don't really like his humor, his character. I like his narrative. I like his storyline. I understand why he's doing what he's doing. I enjoyed doing a rivalry romance, which I know is really bad to say, but I did enjoy doing that with him. I always end up just stabbing him in the back, and that's why I'm going with a C.
That's fair. Anders and Fenris in Dragon Age 2 are some of the best examples of, in the community, you either hate them or you love them. There's not a lot of middle ground.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have to agree with you. I'd even put him him in D, but I'll say C for now.
Oh.
Justice is the most interesting part of
Yeah.
Anders.
Yeah.
His struggle with justice. But when he's not going through that, he just feels very bland. And it feels bad to say that he feels one note when he's fighting for oppressed mage rights, but
Yeah.
he really is for Dragon Age 2. The most interesting thing that happens is, like whenever he's struggling with justice and then blowing up the Chantry at the end. But then after he does that, he doesn't give up, but he just he sets it off but doesn't follow through with anything unless Hawk spares him and asks him to help. Since we haven't seen anything else or gotten any other character development with him, I'd be interested to know what he's doing past Inquisition, especially now. But as he is with what we have prior to Dreadwolf, if he shows up, I'm gonna have to say C tier for Anders. He's okay.
He's okay.
I am going to say B.
Ooh.
And personality-wise, I liked him a bit in Awakenings. He's kind of funny. I did not like him as much in Dragon Age 2 because of how manipulative he is, with him having you help him blow up the Chantry and everything. But what I like about him is that he is a guy with a noble cause, and he means well. He just gets so caught up in his mission that he just fucks himself up. I do have to agree, what makes him interesting is his struggle with justice. But because I like the character that he is so much, I'm gonna put him in B.
So we've got 2 C's and 1 B. I say we keep him in C for now, and then when we have a few more people on the board, we can start to move them around. So I'd say he'll probably end up in a high C, low B, depending on how this goes for the rest of the ranking. Jack, how do you feel about Aveline Valen?
Ooh, I like Aveline. I don't love Aveline. I like her more than Anders, but I don't like her that much more than Anders. I'll give her a tentative B, and that is because I did get on with her. I liked her narrative and her storyline. I liked her romance subplots. I liked her rise to becoming a Kirkwall Knight captain. Gameplay-wise, she's fun to play. Overall, I'm happy with Aveline. She's not my favourite. She is somebody that I did hang around with in Kirkwall, and I enjoyed her presence in that narrative, and I liked the fact that she was there basically from the start of Hawk's journey. So she became more like a family member, just like Bethany or Carver on Who Survives. So she definitely facilitated for my Hawk like a sister role. I think she's a good B.
I would agree with you that I'd probably put her above Anders in C, but we'll stay B for now. She doesn't have the most personality or development, unlike a lot of other characters. Once she joins the Guard, she uncovers the corruption, and that's basically just her for most of the game. Her relationship with Donick is definitely where she shines. It is a real nice night for an evening. Yes, indeed, I agree. I'd love to see what she's doing now with Viscount Varric. Getting her in the comics was a shot in the foot.
No.
But I'd love to see how she's doing now with Donick, if she's had any kids or has any extra family, how she's helping Varric. She is the one that helped Hawk's sibling escape everything in Inquisition. We still don't know what happened there. But yeah, with that, she's just a very solid character, and having her and Isabella in the party at the same time is the ultimate catfight. So yeah.
Yes,
It's
also
perfect.
true.
Yeah.
Also true.
Putting her in B tier, and I'm fairly happy with having her there.
I am going to put her in A, just because of how relatable she is. She is a very solid character, as you guys mentioned. I like her romance subplot. She is adorable. Other than that, she is unironically a good, strong female character. You know, she also has those moments where she's vulnerable and where she's cute and relatable. Something that comes to mind is when after Hawk's mom has died, she comes to you and she tries to comfort you, and she tells you a story about her last moments with her dad. Whenever I think about Aveline, that is the cutscene that I remember. I don't know, she is just the sweetest. I like her a lot.
So we have an A, a B, and a C, so just keeping her in B for now, just having nice little middle ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jack, how do you feel about Bethany?
Oh, I love Bethany. Now, she isn't one of my favourite characters. I love the bond that I have with Hawk. Sorry, Carver. I've had Carver twice in my playthroughs with my Hawk. I love Bethany that much, and I'm not much of a mage player anyway. I think Bethany, for me, is a B. I'd love to put her higher because of the experiences I've had with her, but just being realistic in terms of the grand schemes of Dragon Age, the biggest thing is more the concept of her than her. I love the idea of having that family dynamic in Dragon Age 2. It's why it's a brilliant, different Dragon Age game, because of the fact that it's so family orientated. You have people in this world who you care about, and you're the big brother. You're looking out for your siblings. You've got your mother and your uncle. Your uncle's an absolute twat. But I love that she's your little sister, and you really do have that relationship dynamic going on. And I love caring for her. She's a lovely, caring person. And also just the different arcs that she can go on. From being a Grey Warden to then being a tutor in in joining the mage circle. Overall, she's just a really lovable person, and I've always enjoyed having conversations with her, so she's a B for me.
I would actually put her below Anders in C, purely because the twins do not get enough content to
That is
really
fair.
stand out against the other companions.
Yeah.
Bethany is definitely the better of the two companions, although I don't have her in as many of my playthroughs because my canon is Mage Hawk, so she usually gets Lego building bricked into the ground by an ogre. I do love her arc of once she joins the circle, she just genuinely seems happy to not have to hide anymore, to not have to worry about letting her magic loose. She loves taking care of all the younglings. She protects them during Act 2 and Act 3 when shit gets fucked, which the Canary and the Templars both make sure that is an apt scenario. Yeah, we don't know what she's doing post Dragon Age 2, but I imagine, especially during Inquisition, she's just caring for other like young mages and stuff. And yeah, she's just a very lovable, motherly figure to the youngins who just spent most of her life hiding and is glad she doesn't have to hide her abilities anymore. But you only get the first act and then the DLC and the last mission of the game with her, so I put her below Anders just because she doesn't have enough content.
I think I'm gonna put her in a low B, just because I do like Bethany. I just haven't had her much, because I usually play a mage, so I usually have Carver. And I have to agree, there's just not enough content with them, but there is potential there. And I like Bethany, so it's just gonna be a low B for now, for me.
So we'll just keep her at the bottom end of B for now then, just to go in between all that. Speaking of B, Jack, how do you feel about Blackwall?
Blackwall, straight off the bat, is my least favourite companion in Dragon Age Inquisition, because I do like...
I was about to say, ooh.
because I do like everybody else substantially more. I'm going to give Blackwall... I'm not going to be harsh yet. Yeah, I want to be harsh. In the grand scheme of things, he's a C. He's a high
above
C.
Or
He's
below Anders?
He's above
Okay,
Anders.
above Anders.
So, I like Blackwall's twist. I love the fact that he lies to our face and the Duncan lie with Alistair. Ah, yes, Duncan. Good man. I love the fact that he's a character, I believe, with a codex entry in Dragon Age Origins, I believe, or at least has some establishment as a really senior Grey Warden, being Tom Rainier, or Rainier. I love the Cole interactions, like Rainier, whatever his particular poetic sonnet is about that. So I like all the ideas and the concepts around him, but as a character, I don't really like him at all. I remember thinking when I first talked to him that I was going to get his approval by saying this one thing, and he greatly disapproved. And I was like, oh, never mind. I like his lumberjack aesthetic and the fact that he makes that little cute griffin in the barn. The rock into it. I don't like his romance in the slightest. The fact that he leaves you naked in a barn.
It just fucking leaves you, yeah.
People complain about Solas leaving you, but at least Solas didn't, romance you and then leave you. Well, anyway.
Well, Blackwall never threatened to blow
We'll
up the
talk about it
world
later.
either,
Yeah.
so,
We'll talk about Solus later.
Oh, we will talk about Solus.
Overall, Blackwall just isn't my target audience. He is a burly lumberjack man. I think as a Grey Warden, I like the fact that he subverted those expectations of what we expect from a Grey Warden companion. But sorry to be generic, I really just wanted a heroic, fun Grey Warden in Inquisition that was stereotypical. I know it's like so, but that's just what I wanted for Blackwall. I wanted him to be just a proper heroic Grey Warden and answer questions about the old gods and all those things. And he did the exact opposite, which was a fun subversion, but I didn't want it.
we wanted a mad warden, but we got a sad warden.
That's it.
Yeah, not
Okay.
even a real warden.
I'd place him above Bethany in B, to be honest. Again, his twist and his arc of revealing his true nature as Tom Rainier and the crime that he committed is the most interesting part about him. And the fact that no matter how you rescue him, he's always trying to point, he constantly points out, like, the hypocrisy of, oh, you're a good man, and then he points out, like, with Cullen, you marched your soldiers into Val Royale and stole him, or Liliana assassinated people to bring him out, or Josephine gave up so many favors just to pull him out of prison. And he just constantly seems like he wants to be punished, like the justice has to be served.
Yeah.
And when you give him the chance to serve as Rainier, or you send him to the Wardens to become a proper Warden, he seems genuinely happier in Trespasser now that he's not living a lie anymore.
Yeah.
And his romance, although leaving you is pretty messed up, I do love the little tease in Trespasser where it looks like he does it again.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you just turn the camera and he's just sitting there. But yeah, I'd have him above Bethany, but not higher than Aveline. So middle of B tier is how I would feel for him.
I am gonna put Blackwall in a low C. I like what the intention was behind his character, but I think it gets overshadowed by Solus.
Yes.
I think
They both do.
he is basically Solus's character arc, but Solus does it better. I like the twist that he is pretending to be a warden, but he's actually not. And in the end, he accepts accepts his fate. You know, he knows what he did was wrong. And I appreciate that about his character. I just also kind of think he's a little boring. I'm sorry. I just didn't take him with me much in all of the playthroughs that I did. I also have not done his romance, so maybe that adds a bit more, that makes it a bit more interesting, but I don't know, he just didn't interest me that much.
With his romance, you do get a few extra scenes, and the major one that stands out for me is where he takes you to where the original Blackwall actually died.
Yeah.
Similar to Solus, he technically tells you the truth, but obscures some, just like doesn't mention like enough details for you to get it through. But so we've got 2 C tiers and a B, so top end of C for now. Above Anders, but below Bethany.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like we're going to go a little bit further down in the letters here because Carver is up next.
F.
Oh, really? Okay.
The fact that you choose one of the best classes in Dragon Age 2 and you get this little whining shit. The only way to get Carver to stop complaining is if you play as an aggressive type of Hawk, and I am not that person. That is the only way you stop him from complaining. No, I don't like Carver.
Okay.
He's
I'll
annoying.
wait my turn.
He is annoying. He's a brat. He's a brother. He really is your brother, and that's what's brilliant. Brilliant in that dynamic, but I don't want him. That's all I have to say on Carver.
Okay.
It's okay.
Let that ogre kill him.
I'd put him in high D or low C. I do agree with you that, especially in the start of the game, he is very whiny, and I understand that he doesn't like being in Hawk's shadow, but also when you're living on dirt and in servitude for over a year just to help your family and your mother get by, I don't think bitching to your brother is really going to help it much.
Exactly.
When you make the choice of sending him to the Templars or the Wardens, he does develop a bit more of a character, especially with the Wardens. As opposed to Bethany, he doesn't seem as happy in the Templars. I can't imagine why he wouldn't be happy.
Meredith.
But when you send him with the Wardens and then take him Legacy, that's it. Yeah, when you take him with you there, he's kind of mellowed out a bit more with the Wardens now that he's no longer in your shadow, and I think he genuinely becomes a better character by the end. So I would say low C, high D for the development he gets with the Wardens.
This
Go
is
on,
interesting.
Lisa.
I'm putting him in B.
No.
Okay. No. Hear me out. Okay.
Explain.
Hear me out. I agree. Carver is a bit of a whiny bitch, but he is also the one that feels huge responsibility for his sister, and in my case, my Hawk's female, his older sister, especially because if you're playing a mage, he now has to look out for his sister, who's also a mage, who he is worried for that they'll get discovered and get taken to the Templars, and he just feels a huge responsibility, and also he feels like he's in Hawk's shadow. As you said, Lambo, when you send him to the Wardens, he changes a lot, and he actually gets a lot better, in my opinion. It is because with the Wardens, he finds purpose. Now, I don't think I've ever sent him to the Templars, so I'm not sure how he develops when he is with the Templars. I know he's not as happy, but when he feels like he's found a purpose, like he can be his own person, he actually becomes a lot nicer to you. And I think he's just a poor guy that struggled a lot with his inner demons. That is what I think. That is why I'm putting him in B.
Okay, so we have an F tier from Jack, a high D, low C from me, and a B from Lisa. Do we put him in high D or in low C? Because those are the two in-betweens, really.
High D. I'll compromise on high D. I'll compromise on high D.
Sure.
Alright, well, once we finish, we might move some things around. Maybe he'll get bumped up to a C.
No, he won't.
We'll find and now a character who will definitely be a lot higher. Cassandra Pendergast.
Oh.
Cassandra Allegra Portia Caligera Philomena Pendergast.
All right.
I love Cassandra. Is she an S like Alistair? For me, she's a high A. I love her significance in the Dragon Age storyline, especially from going from Dragon Age 2 to Dawn of the Sea.
we don't need to include Dawn of the Seeker in this.
Where they may have changed a few things.
There is no
we don't need to talk about Cassandra going into a battle in a miniskirt, alright?
Then to Inquisition, where she served a pivotal role as the right hand of the Divine, and then becoming our companion. I gravitated to her immediately. She was my first romance option in Dragon Age Inquisition as Jackdaw Trevelyan. It was very fun when Jackdaw met Blackwall as well. But I love
awkward.
I love how she is essentially literally the bare bones of the Inquisition. She's the one who gets it going. She's the one who's initially against you, and then she can, depending on your choices, gravitate to like you, and somehow finds a justification for an elf to be the herald of Andraste, but that's Cassandra for you. But no, she's a strong, brilliantly well-written, religious character that I really like. There are a few things I don't like about her. I liked her romance. I loved the poetry scene in her romance. I loved getting close to her and learning about her brother and her uncle and how she revealed about Navarra's culture. But overall, I just liked her sense of pride and accomplishment, and just her faith really grew strong for me. She just has brilliant character development, and how that develops in Trespasser, where she feels like the Inquisitor is about to propose to her, and it's like, oh.
Oh, that was such a good scene.
With my Inquisitor, it was a really stable, mature relationship, and I like seeing that, and I like that dynamic from BioWare.
I would agree that she goes into high A tier. She doesn't quite reach S, but definitely high A. She is my canon romance for my Trevelyan Inquisitor.
Whoop whoop.
Absolutely love her arc of discovering the truth about the Seekers.
Yes.
And the Bride of Tranquility, and going forward with her policy of everyone reads the book. There are no secrets amongst the future Seekers, and especially what Lord Lucius does to her trainee, or the student she trained a while back, and discovering him when you get the location where he's started infecting them all. Her romance where she is surprised that the Inquisitor even wants to court her, and then when you do start courting her, she's like, I'm not just a warrior, I want like poetry, I want flowers, and then the Inquisitor takes it way too literally. I know a few people don't like her because they see her as a bit of a hard ass, kind of like Aveline, but she has a softer and tender moments throughout the game, especially with Varric and his stories and all of that. She's like the Alistar of Inquisition, where she's just always good to have around, and is integral to the plot of the game. So high A, definitely for Cassandra.
I would mostly agree with that. I'm just gonna put her in a B. I do like the whole arc with the Seekers a lot. I feel like she's very similar to Aveline, but I do like Aveline a little bit more, so I'm gonna put her in a high B, but not above Aveline. I also feel like I can't judge her completely because I haven't done her romance, so I feel like there's a lot of context I'm missing here.
With her romance, like, seeing her softer side, but especially in Trespasser, just the marriage scene is just gorgeous.
Yes.
Varric is just like, yeah, the Inquisitor's gonna propose to you, and she's like, we can't do this now, and the Inquisitor's like, we can't do what now? and then you kneel down to sit on the stairs, and she's like, out in the open, you devil. And then I'm going to kill that dwarf.
And the fanfiction too, where she's reading Varric's books, is so brilliant.
Yes. Yeah. One thing that always gets me is the end credits, where she is narrating like the end of Varric's book. I don't remember. Was it like, but where am I? Why am I not in here?
Leave her in the middle of A.
Leave her in middle of A, yeah.
Another divisive character up next, we have Cole.
S. Cole is like the epitome of pain, either via understanding other people's pain, or learning to understand emotions and what pain is via experiencing it through other people. You kind of get the idea that he's understanding pain as he's experiencing other people and going through that. Equally, he's a very vulnerable character. He's one of the most vulnerable characters, I believe, BioWare and Patrick Weeks particularly has ever written. The fact that Cole, I believe, has been written based on like the characteristics of somebody with autism. I love that inclusion and that level that BioWare have gone to with this character, and how expertly crafted Cole is, and the character development from going to be fully human to learning to be a spirit. The amount of foreshadowing and inference that Cole indicates with his speech, from joking about Star Wars to literally giving ways to Trespasser, giving ways to potentially Dragon Age Dread Wolf's narrative. The wolf bites its own tail off to escape the trap. Rainier, all those kinds of things. Cole is a critical aspect of Dragon Age, connecting us also even further to spirits and demons, exploring the very nature of them, what they really are, and then that kind of bridging into Solas's narrative with them, of really helping us understand that narrative if it is to be true. The nature of spirits and demons aren't just black and white. It's actually a lot more nuanced. And also the biggest thing of Cole is his compassion, how that is so spread throughout the narrative from everything he does. He really is compassion, and I love the fact that he embodies that throughout. And I can get that he's a divisive character, because when I first met Cole, I was like, he just kind of is inserted into this narrative and doesn't make any sense. Whereas Dorian gets so much exposition when you do go through the Redcliffe narrative, and then he meets you at Haven. Whereas Cole is kind of just dropped in there. But if you're doing the Templar questline, you get to know Cole, you understand him, and you really do spend time with him and Solas and having him in your party. It is a brilliant narrative, and I love every second of it. And ultimately, he's a very, very different character that BioWare have done. And I like that. He does do that spirit thing that Justice has done. And I also, and again, another thing, I like how David Gader and Patrick Weeks' interpretation of Cole is different. I don't mind the fact that Cole is different from Asunder to Cole and Inquisition, because I like what Patrick Weeks has done with this Cole. Yes, it is different, but the overall intention and the goal of it, I really do admire. So, big S tier from me.
I would put him in high B normally, but with Asunder, I would put him in A tier. Asunder is just a very great novel and gives his entire backstory away, which he kind of glosses over in the game, but you should definitely give a read to Asunder if you enjoy Cole's character and Win to an extent, and Shale to an extent. Cole for me was 50-50 on my first playthrough. I kind of liked him, but at the same time I didn't feel like I understood him. And then when you get to his side quest with Varric and Solus, whether deciding to make him a full spirit or allowing him to become more human, that was when I really started to enjoy Cole, especially once you go down the route of making him human and seeing in Trespasser how he's started to discover love, how he gets together with the bard from the Dragon's Rest Inn, and or if he's a spirit, he helps her to find love in Trespasser instead, and how you were saying before, Jack, he basically spoils everyone's side quests while you're walking around, and you have no idea. He knows everything about everyone throughout the entire game. He knew Solus the entire time. He knew Rainier's secret. He knows that Iron Bull is going to betray you up until you save the Chargers and stuff like that. Just his interactions with, like, NPCs in certain quests, and the entire Templar quest where he's helping you escape the Envy Demon is just so well done.
Oh, absolutely.
I love the Envy Demon's constantly trying to belittle you and make you, like, lose willpower, and he's always just there as, like, a little guiding hand. And when he becomes human, he's just my baby boy. No one hurts Cole. He's my boy.
Yeah.
He's my little boy.
He just wants to help.
Yeah, I would just put him in A tier with Asunder.
Even if that help means by grabbing Varric's crossbow and almost shooting a man.
Well, he needs to understand.
well.
He needs to understand that taking out his rage will not help the pain within him. He needs to understand what it is to be human, as opposed to just erasing that pain.
I actually had a similar experience to you, Jack, where on my first playthrough, I did not really care for Cole. I was a mage, so I helped the mages first, so I got to know Dorian first, and then this kid shows up, and he's weird, and he talks in a weird way. So I didn't care for him much until a playthrough where I did the Templar quest, and then I looked into his character more, and I started to pay attention to him, and I started taking him with me everywhere. And especially his banter with Solus, the references to other media is funny, but also, as you guys said, he basically spoils Solus's entire plotline without you even knowing it. There's just so much there, and every time Cole speaks, I'm like, what is this a reference to?
Yeah.
Do I know this? Is this a reference to something that happened in game? Also, one of his lines is where he references things from the novels, like he references Briala witnessing her parents dying in The Masked Empire. If you've read the other media, you know what he's talking about, and that's why Cole is so cool. What I also really like about him is that he's he's something that we haven't seen before in a series.
Exactly.
We know of spirits, we know of demons, we know of them possessing people, but we hadn't heard of a spirit getting a physical body instead of possessing someone. It opened up a lot of opportunities for what they can do with spirits in the future.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that is very cool, because he is a spirit of compassion. But, like, what if, for example, someone is so angry that it attracts a spirit of anger, and then that spirit, or a spirit of rage, and that spirit decides to become that person when that person dies, and then there's just a very angry spirit demon in the form of a human walking around there. Like, there's a lot they can do with that.
If there aren't already people like that walking around. Especially in Saventa. Oh my god.
Very much true. I also just like his friendship with Solus a lot.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Solus and Cole are the only ones that truly understand each other. Because Solus knows Cole is a spirit, and Cole knows everything that Solus has been through because he knows how Solus feels. So they automatically understand each other. And despite everyone else thinking of, maybe except your Inquisitor, but all of the other characters kind of see Cole as this weird spirit, and they're kind of scared of him, or they forget him. And Solus is the only one that, like, accepts him for who he is and actually sees him as a person and, like, treats him as a person, but also at the same time he acknowledges that he is also a spirit and therefore not like everybody else, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Varric, to an extent, also does, but he sees more of the human
side
to the spirit.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if you have Varric in the party, party, they also have a few like back and forths where
They
Varric
do, yeah.
is like an older brother or even fatherly figure where he's trying to help Cole understand.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's a good party. Iron Bull, Cole, and Varric is funny.
Yeah.
Iron Bull's terrified of Cole.
Yeah. It's funny.
Ooh, stuck in the fate.
Yeah. I am gonna give him an S.
Two S's. Yes. So we'll have him in low S and maybe to high A depending on how many S's we get later. But okay, so he stays there. I also feel like the first time that Cole like starts hinting at Solas's true intentions. As soon as you get back to Skyhold, I just imagine Solas taking Cole like into his room, just like, all right, you need to stop with that. You need to shut your mouth.
You know, he actually
shut your ass up.
He does that because I'm gonna need a second here to think of what the exact line was. Yeah, he references the old gods being locked away, and then he almost reveals what Solas is or what Solas has done, and then before he can do that, Solas makes him forget, or he wipes his memory, makes him forget what he was thinking about.
He goes, oh, and it's
what
gone.
I also like, what I also really like, if you've done the Solas romance and you take Cole and Solas as your only, I mean, it can trigger either way, but like taking them both without anyone else makes it easier to trigger. He references the breakup scene.
He does. When
he said, you are free. You are so beautiful. But then you turned away. Why? She is barefaced, embarrassed, and she doesn't know. She thinks it's because of her. You cannot heal this, Cole. Please, let it go.
Yeah, he tries, but he doesn't understand. Next up is Cullen Rutherford.
I'll keep this short and simple. Cullen, I used to think had a retconned kind of narrative, but now I look at it from a different mindset. He's probably got one of the most memorable, I would say, character arcs in the games. He goes from a young man tortured and traumatized. We saw him in the Mage Tower, you know, adamantly despising mages. So then like a bitter knight captain who kind of starts to then see the errors of his own ways, but to then literally being the commander of the Inquisition, fighting alongside his addiction, and at the same time even more meaningful if a mage were to romance Cullen. I'll place him in low A.
I would agree with many things that you said. Like, yeah, he starts off, especially if you play as a mage origin, he starts off crushing on the hero Ferelden if you're a female, and running off as soon as you approach him, going from his traumatized, tortured self to kind of like a justified warrior in Dragon Age 2, up until Meredith starts to lose her shit, and then begins to see the error of his ways, gets approached by Cassandra, and then seeing him battle against his addiction, doubting his capability as the commander of the Inquisition's forces, and if you romance him, seeing that he still suffers from like night terrors amidst the whole thing. I just think he has a really good arc. He could have a bit more personality outside of his addiction in Inquisition. I feel like outside of his struggle with Lyrium, he doesn't get much till Trespasser, where he gets the Mabari and sets up his like struggling Templar like hostel, essentially. I think I'd place him above Aveline in B.
Yeah, I don't really have much to add to that. I think I agree, though I would put him below Aveline in B.
Then next up, we have the dogs. They go straight to God tier. Next up, Dorian.
Dorian has to be in S tier, I think. He is a brilliant, fantastical, eccentric mage who, first of all, is really fun to play as a necromancer class, but just adds so much life to Inquisition's narrative, from his deeply traumatic and personal storyline with David Gader actually implementing his own experiences with being a homosexual and having that experience with his dad. That's literally straight from David Gader's own story, and it has been beautifully executed. That narrative of his dad trying to change him with blood magic when he just didn't understand, trying to marry him off to some kind of Tevinter woman, when crucially that wasn't the life he wanted to live. Having that somewhat of a resolution in the end where he has that conversation with his dad and they open up, and then like a couple of years later his dad dies and now he's gone back to Tevinter. But the fact that they at least had some of that closure, absolutely beautiful. Knowing that maybe a lot of people who play these games won't have that kind of closure, I can understand the heartbreak there, but it was beautiful, and I love that aspect of David Gader's narrative having so much sway because he's had those experiences and implementing that into the character of Dorian. But besides that like dramatic kind of personal storyline, he's just so fun. He adds, again, like I said, so much life, but so much bits of lore on Tevinter. So it feels like he's like Cassandra, very crucial to the narrative of understanding Corypheus, understanding the old gods, understanding Tevinter's way of things, and especially crucial leading up to Dread Wolf, where we're most definitely going to be seeing meeting Dorian again. But then just the influence he has on Inquisition's narrative of adorable, of giving the Inquisitor the amulet and trespasser. There's so many things I could go on, but ultimately he is a brilliant individual and he makes Inquisition's narrative even more richer.
I agree. I'd have him in a high A or low S as well. I think I like him more than Cole, so I'd probably move him up above Cole, but otherwise, he was a breath of fresh air because prior to Dorian, we never had a good representation of Tevinter. Everything was just evil necromancers, slavers, all that. And whilst in some of his dialogue, he doesn't have the best representation for slaves, he still kind of mentions them as enjoying it to an extent or trying to justify it. He truly does have his personal quest line of he wants to improve his homeland. He wants to show the world that they're not all just evil majesties. He wants to better himself. He wants to better his homeland. And his struggle with his dad not understanding is just encapsulated in his line of, you wanted what was best for you, for your fucking legacy.
Yes.
Those are the final words he says to his father if you do not intervene, which, fuck, that leaves a mark. But just outside of his not so much banter, but bickering with Mother Giselle and showing the Chantry is also just as bigoted. Well, we already knew that for other races, but just as bigoted towards Tevinter Magisters as they are towards elves or Qunari or dwarves. Besides his more heavier subjects and his more vulnerable side, he's a snarky bitch.
And we love him for it.
Oh, you gotta love his little snarks. Obviously, the fact that he can end up with Bull as a romance is just absolutely amazing, and if you've played his romance or seen a lot of the romance scenes, which I feel like everyone has, great ass. Great AR. Man knows he's beautiful. I'd say low S. I'd put him above Cole personally, but I'm happy with that.
I like Dorian a lot for the same reasons you guys already mentioned. What I also like about Dorian's character a lot is that, as you already mentioned, Lambo, he gives us another perspective on Tevinter. So we've heard all these terrible things about the evil Tevinter Magisters, and it's horrible, and slaves, and blood magic, and everything, and then here is someone who is actually from there and can give another perspective and can tell us what it's actually like to be from there and how it actually works and his views on his country, and as you said, that he wants to make it better because he acknowledges that there is a lot wrong with Tevinter, but at the same time he loves Tevinter because he is from there. That is his home and he wants to improve it, and I appreciate that a lot about him. I'm gonna put him in a high A. For me, he would be above Cassandra.
Okay, from a Tevinter Magister to someone who wants to kill every Tevinter Magister, we have Fenris.
Ooh,
Fenris.
I like Fenris. He's a dark and brooding character. I like that about him. I like that he's complex. He's complicated. To me, he feels a little bit like Edward Cullen from Twilight.
The comics have improved that to an extent.
But I think the comics massively have improved him, as Lambo said. Like, I really, really liked him in Blue Wraith and his narrative and what he's done for Francesca and for Vaya and for that group of ragtags. But I did like him in Dragon Age 2. I liked him definitely more than Anders. And I like his storyline, and I love the lyrium aspect of his storyline, and also where that's going in the future with these red lyrium wraiths and stuff. The deeply personal trauma of him and the fact that he has gone through he went through the lyrium sarcophagus and that his hair was turned grey because of the trauma and the sheer pain, and the fact that he was able to actually have vengeance against Magister Denarius. I like that. I like that storyline, and screw anybody, he would give him back to that. He also reminds me of a Final Fantasy character too, because he's a grey-haired elf with a massive ass sword with these massive tattooed magic bits. So I'm going to give him a low B.
He kind of looks like an anime character.
Low B. Low B.
Above or below Bethany? Lowest? Okay.
Below, yeah.
I would put him in B as well, but above Bethany. He does have the dark, edgy, brooding side in Dragon Age 2, but especially with, I feel like this is the case for every character, especially with their romance, you definitely see another side to them, and you see his insecurities, and the comics have just, like, showing his backstory and showing how he's doing now has definitely improved him. He also gets bonus points for calling the Mabari a good girl. Yes, you are. Yes, you certainly are, aren't you? And then the voice actor actually doing that.
Yes, he actually did it.
With Autumn. If I was just going off Dragon Age 2, I'd probably put him in C tier, but with the comics, I would definitely agree that he belongs around the middle point of B. you even see that before the comics in Dragon Age 2 that his hatred and vengeance are kind of overriding his common senses, because he almost kills his sister in his quest line until you intervene. And then after that he starts to mellow out a bit and realize everything that's happened. He's just a very interesting character to watch, and I would love in Dreadwolf if when you're fighting a bunch of majesties he comes in and just tears them a new one.
I'd also love them to meet Dorian and see how they get along.
They would not.
Oh, that'd be
they
very
wouldn't.
interesting. Oh.
Dorian would make a snarky remark and he would just be like, "You're no Isabella."
I like Fenris a lot. I like him in the game. I like him in the comics. I like how, especially when you romance him as a mage. When I played Dragon Age 2 for the second time, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna romance Fenris as a mage. Let's see how that's gonna go, just for the challenge. And then I ended up really liking the character. But I like his character progression because he actually learns to accept that he likes a mage, and he learns that, okay, not every single mage is evil, and there are good mages in the world. Because I believe even if you're just friends and you stand with the mages, he can still join your side at the end.
He'll either join you, or if your friendship isn't high enough, he'll join Meredith until the final confrontation, then you can convince him to join you.
And I like that. I think I'm gonna put him in A.
Okay. Jack, how do you feel about the Iron Bull? The does go in front.
I love the Iron Bull. I think it is hilarious and amazing that Freddie Prinze Jr. voice acts the Iron Bull. And whenever I talk about Dragon Age, and I always say, that one guy from Scooby-Doo, yeah, he's in this game. And people are like, no way. And I'm like, yeah way. And then one of my friends at work was like, oh yeah, I really like that character, the Iron Bull. I went, guess what? He went, what? Fred from Scooby-Doo in the live action movie? Yeah, that's him. He went, no way. I went, yeah way. He went, no way. I went, yeah way. And he checked and he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, that is Freddie Prinze Jr. Besides that though, Iron Bull is a beast. He, again, like Dorian, adds so much spark and brilliance to the narrative. He's fun. He's a different perspective on the Qunari, actually having, a Ben Hasrith Qunari member. I do really like Sten, but the Iron Bull is more flamboyant, more eccentric than Sten. He actually offers a lot more to it with the charges and with Krem and the relationships that he has, as opposed to, this is what the Qun says, and this is what the Qun does. Iron Bull's like, yeah, the Qun says this, but I've got my people, I've got my values, I've got what I call believing. His bosom is good to see. His romance
Pillowy man bosom.
His pillowy man bosom. His romance is fantastic.
Everyone knows this scene from his
Everybody knows. I'm going to give him lower than Cassandra, but a very good A.
A for adorable.
Exactly.
I very much agree with, he's a breath of fresh air for Qunari, especially after Dragon Age 2 and Stan. They were very the tome of Kuzlan and the Kun and humans are bastards. They're not lying with that last bit, but they were very dry. And the most unique Qunari we got was Katojan, and we only had him for one mission, and then he committed self-inflammation. Bull is just an amazing character, and then as soon as you meet Krem, you see how much he cares for those outside of Qun society, sacrificing his eye for Krem, not even questioning Krem's decisions with their identity. And then when you meet the other charges and seeing how much he cares for them, and that they are the difference between him being re-educated and another slave to the Qun and just being an absolute badass with massive pillowy man bosoms.
It doesn't get better than that.
The fact that he can overcome his hatred of the Vince and romance Dorian is a side you don't expect when you first play Inquisition, and your own romance where you kind of just start as his side piece, but then after you present him with the split dragon scale or dragon claw, he actually sees you as his other half and expresses his love. And I think I'd have him in low A, high B, but below Cassandra is good.
I also forgot to say I love the line of dialogue where he says, I will bring myself great sexual pleasure while thinking about this moment later on.
We did this in Jeopardy. I have the quote.
Yeah.
Tarsidath an Halsam, which translates to, I will bring myself sexual pleasure later while thinking about this with great respect. You shouted that while it was breathing fire at us. And I don't know why his line sticks with me, but I said it earlier, this the performance on Who's Stuck in the Fade? As he gets smacked with a stick. I love how you can even get that. I love how you get that scene when he didn't even go to the Fade with you.
Yeah, you get it regardless. Mm-hmm.
And then he gets smacked by Cassandra with a stick. How do you feel about Bull, Lisa?
Paul is fucking great, okay? I love the guy. I mean, I think you guys have already covered everything, basically, that I wanted to say, but also, he just gives a great perspective into the Kunari, and what it's like to be a Kunari, and what it's like to live among them. When I listen to Paul's dialogue about the Kunari, I'm like, you know what? This makes sense, and I can totally see why people would choose this life, because it's comfortable. You know what you have to do, and you're being taken care of. So he made me understand the Kunari more. I'm not saying I agree 100% with their way of like what they do, but like I understand it. I would put him in. Yeah, put him in A.
So we're all happy with him being in A, just below Cassandra.
Yeah.
Yep, I would say so.
Okay. Next up, we have the pirate queen herself, or the raider queen herself, Isabella.
I love Isabella because she is sexy, brilliant, hilarious. Doesn't she talk about Darkspawn having the capability to piss?
Yeah, when you find a crushed chest in the Deep Roads, she says, "Did they really have to piss on it?" So thanks to Isabella, we know that Darkspawn can canonically piss. We don't know if they need to, but they can.
She also gave us the line in, I believe, Dragon Age 2, but also in the multiplayer mode. Slap my ass and call me Andraste, and I have never stopped using it to this day. What more could you want from a sultry pirate captain who has like a wish-washy narrative in Dragon Age 2 where it's like, she stole the book all along, but the things she brings to that game and its humor and its pure sexiness are worth it. As much as I do like her, and she is my canonical romance with Hawke, I'll give her a highest of the Bs for me, for Isabella.
Highest of the Bs? Okay. I would agree with high B. I enjoy Isabella. I enjoy her romance where she kind of starts out as kind of a casual relationship with Hawke, but if you stick with her up until Act 3 without going down any other romances, she actually reveals the more vulnerable side and dedicates herself to Hawke, although they can still mess around with Zevran, so I guess they're a bit open, but otherwise it's still a nice side to her. Starting off with her, like the reason she's in so much trouble is because she messed up the delivery of the slaves from Ferelden, and she disagreed with like the raiders on dealing in slaves in the first place. She's the quirky, quick-witted, little bit catty rogue in Dragon Age 2 that gets on Aveline's nerves. In Act 3, they're basically like best friends. Being able to play as her in Dragon Age Inquisition's multiplayer is
so
just a fun little touch.
So fun.
Her story in the comics, where it's revealed that she was a Qun convert against her will, and growing up with that was definitely a surprise and a welcome one. Seeing her backstory, seeing her mother be trapped with her, and just everything she had to go through, and then having to re-encounter the Kunari with Varric and Alistair. Isabella is a solid B character, and I hope we see her in Dreadwolf.
Yes.
I like Isabella. I think she's really funny. I love her banter with Aveline. If it was just the game, I'd put her in C. But with her backstory in the comics, I will put her in mid to high B.
What's the quote that goes off way too much in Dragon Age 2? And if I told you that you look more like a man, Aveline, you would say, "Shut up, whore."
Yeah. I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we know where Jack's going to go with this one. How do you feel about Josephine?
Oh, Josephine. Josephine is...
F. Just kidding. Kidding.
Josephine is pure wife material. She's brilliant because on the advisory board, Cullen is like, send in the troops and we'll storm the town. Liliana is like, how about we poison the water and we kill all the civilians off that way? And then Josephine's like, no, what we do is we just absolutely slander their name across town and gossip the shit out of them so that they actually want to die. She's brilliant.
Diplomatic.
Flexes.
Kill them with kindness and a ton of encyclopedia words.
That's it. And I remember her the famous quote that she says to Liliana is kindness before knives. She's just pure wife material. The romance itself is Disney princess vibes all over. I love it. I love going to the theatre with her and Trespasser. She is a bundle of joy. She's a sweetheart. She has that sassy, fun side to her with the with the whole confidence. Oh, we've been gossiping for so long. Oh my goodness, Inquisitor, I didn't think we'd spend so long talking together. So for me, she's a high A, the highest of A's. There are more characters in Inquisition that I do personally treasure more, but I love the shit out of Josephine Ventillier.
Yeah, I agree with that, of just how like quick-witted and dedicated she is to her role. Talking to her and discovering more about her history and like her family's issues, and then having to deal with that, like the Assassin's Guild, basically, with her romance having to duel another man for her hand in marriage, basically. After finishing off the House of Repose, giving you her kind of bleak backstory about how she was originally trying to become a bard and kill the man.
Yeah.
That's what kind of spurred her on to be more of a diplomat. She used to be in my canon romance for a while, but
What
Cassandra
happened?
has taken my heart.
What happened?
Cassandra happened. I think I'd put her in B, just above Cullen. Like, she's great, but like she's only an advisor. She doesn't have as much content as other characters, or has been in as many games, or have extra other media to flesh her out a bit more. But yeah, I'd say above Cullen in B is where I would place her.
I think Josephine is really sweet. I like her a lot. I like her backstory about her being a bard, killing a person by accident. I think her being just an advisor and just being in one game, just, you know, there could have been more there. There is just not enough for me to put her in A. I'm very sorry. I've also not done her romance, so maybe that's why I want to say I want to put her in. Yeah, I know, I'm sorry. I want to do it, but you know, I was doing a Sarah romance and I still haven't finished that, and I've already started over. I want to say I'm going to put her in B below Cullen, because I think Cullen's a little more interesting because of him being... I'm sorry! There's just more. He just has more content.
You would put her below Cullen, I'd put her above Cullen, Jack would put her in the highest of A's. Shall we go in between and put her just above Fenris then?
That sounds fair, yeah.
Jack is above Fenris, alright? You got something. Who do we have now? Sister Liliana.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Liliana.
This has to be an S
is going to be long. Liliana is an S tier for sure. She has suffered the most in this world, yet she has such a cheerful outlook. Even the fact that if you romanced her in her origins, after 10 years, she is still so devoted to the Warden via flipping love letters. That is some kind of devotion. Depending on the nuanced choices you make, she never loses her faith, and I love uplifted Liliana in the end. She always stays true to that, even after all the shit that she endures. But she starts off as this sweetheart in Origins. I love the shit out of Origins Liliana, but I also really like her in Inquisition because it's understandable why she is the way she is, why she is more downtrodden. And obviously you can make her worse or you can get her to be in a better position, but it's completely understandable when she loses probably the person who is the most significant to her life's journey, that why she is so pissed and furious with her faith at that current point. And as somebody myself who has faith and obviously has struggles with their faith at points in her life, it's beautifully well done, and I appreciate the outlook and the way it goes. But I'm also just thinking of the lovely times I had with her in Origins when she talks about tasting forbidden fruits, when she's a little bit goofy, talking about like, did she talk about like a noblewoman with like a bird pooping in their hair or something like that?
Yeah. Because they were wearing like birds in their hair. It was part of their hairstyle. Yeah.
And she talks about like cotton candy being stuck in her hair and then eating it after like 3 days or something like that. And she's just so goofy and silly, despite the fact that she had gone through a breakup with Marjolaine and things. She still has time to put on that cheery side, overlook the darkness of the world, and have that positive outlook despite everything. She is one of my absolute favourite characters in this series altogether, and I've loved her since day one of playing the games. I said in the last episode we did, I painted Liliana for my college project, as well as painting Josephine.
You describing her backstory as a breakup with Marjolaine is glossing it over a little bit.
I was trying to keep it short.
It was just
more
a
like brutal betrayal.
It was more like stabbed in the back, shoved in a torture punch.
But I was trying to keep it brief so I can, you know.
You could have kept it brief still without just saying like, they just broke up.
Well,
I also enjoy Liliana. She is my Rogue World States canon, so she has the Dalish hero of Ferelden. I love her talking about her memories in Orlais, talking about her mother and how Andraste's grace is the flower that reminds her of that. Her odd obsession with shoes and how that still comes into play in Inquisition when you go to the Winter Palace and she's just staring at everyone's feet. So, as you said, Jack, like she's kind of like all goofy and cheery and like bubbly on the outside, but very quickly you see through her facade facade and how she's kind of, like, prior to finding faith in the Chantry, a pretty reprehensible bard and, like, not really someone that you wouldn't even recognize the old Liliana, really. And then going into Inquisition where she's struggling with her faith and on the brink of becoming a true zealot and everything, murdering anything that disagrees with the Inquisition, or becoming the divine in an uplifted version and opening the Chantry to all the other races and spreading the love of the Maker and everything. She has a massive arc across all 3 games. She does show up in 2 for like 10 minutes, but not so much. She was also the sister that took care of Bethany a few times when she was at Lothering Chantry.
Yes.
So she's got that connection as well. Yeah, no, I'm more than happy with S.
Yeah, I agree. I think what people often call Varric and Morrigan, what they are to the series, I would say Liliana is up there as well.
Yeah.
Because she's been in all 3 games, even though she hasn't really been in... She only played a small role in Dragon Age 2. She was a big part of Dragon Age Origins, and she was also a very big part in Dragon Age Inquisition. And I love how throughout all 3 games you can see her develop into, from, despite everything she's been through, she tries to stay very positive, very optimistic. She has this very cheerful personality despite everything she's been through. And then she goes from that all the way to being a jaded, cynical, harsh person with, I mean, it's totally understandable, where she struggles with her faith. And what I like about it, similar to Alistair, you can kind of steer her into either one or 2 directions. You can soften or steal her in Inquisition, and you could do something similar in Dragon Age Origins as well. I like it when your actions actually influence the characters in that way. And even though she can die in Dragon Age Origins...
We don't need to get into the Lyrium Ghost.
Yeah, you're right. Let's not. Like,
we don't need no more lore. We're trying to wrap up other lore.
That is true. Yeah, let's not talk about that. But yeah, she's just a very big part of Dragon Age. And that's why I think she is right up there with Alistair. And I agree with putting her between Alistair and Cole. Like, despite me liking Cole and Dorian a lot, I think Liliana is just... She deserves to be up there.
Yeah.
Okay, after Liliana, we have Loghain Mac tier.
All right.
Don't really care for Loghain. I've had him as a companion once. I understand that his story is better in the books. I like his subversion. I like that he's an antagonist. He's a really good antagonist. I like his intentions. I don't like his intentions, sorry. I understand his intentions.
Jack approves of killing your monarch and starting a civil war.
I see.
Locking your daughter up and using her as a political prisoner.
Not that part.
Acceptable.
No. I'm going to keep it short and snappy for Loghain. I'm going to give him a high C. Better than Blackwall.
I think I put him in the middle of B tier, not because of Origins. Origins, I'd have him as a C tier, purely because you don't get enough time with him as a companion. The Stolen Throne does a lot of heavy lifting for Loghain's character and makes his actions really justified. In his eyes, they're justified, and it goes a long way to explain why he does what he does, especially when, if you play the Return to Ostergard DLC, you see that King Kaelin was actually kind of doing exactly what Loghain was fearing and consorting with Orlais and trying to marry Empress Selene. I think that's what...
Yep.
It's exactly what Loghain feared. So he wasn't wrong, but he did what he did at the worst possible time, being during the Blight. As the game goes on, you can just see that, although he has his reasons, his paranoia just overtakes him, and he throws like all of his morals that were there in the book, they just go into the bin. He really just starts to lose it. And making him a warden and finding him an Inquisition shows him coming back to a kind of a stable level where, like, you can see the man he could be still. I'd say below Cullen, above Bethany, but yeah, Loghain, an interesting antagonist turned companion whose backstory goes a long way to show why he made the decisions that he did.
He is being portrayed as he is the antagonist of Dragon Age Origins. He comes across kind of as a Disney villain in Dragon Age Origins, especially the cutscene where you're preparing for the battle. Kaelin is like, this is going to be a glorious battle, and then he stares ominously into the camera, and it's like, yes, glorious
yes,
indeed. Yes.
A glorious battle for us all.
Yeah, that's what he says.
Yeah.
It would be a shame if someone was to shoot you in the back, my technical son-in-law.
Yeah, but when I think of Loghain, I think of a man who has good intentions. He would do anything for his country, as we can see in Dragon Age Origins. He has a noble goal, but he just loses it along the way, and I just think think his story is very tragic. And as you said, the Stolen Throne does a lot of heavy lifting, but since we're including that, I'm gonna have to put him in a high A.
Okay, so we got C, middle of B, high A. So whereabouts in middle of B does he go? Then?
Nowhere higher than Josephine, I'm telling you that right now.
All right, right there. You mean right above Josephine?
I would say above Josephine. I'm sorry.
No. Below Josephine.
I'm sorry, Jack. I think he just has more development.
He does.
Okay.
He does. And I've never made him a warden,
Josephine
and I really want to do a playthrough where I make him a warden, but I heard he is basically more like his old self, the way he is in the Stolen Throne.
Yeah, him being separated from his country and being a warden, it does show him having leveled out a bit. He's not sorry for what he did, but he understands where he went wrong. Although he doesn't say that in a way that indicates guilt, more that he could have gone about it in a different way. So it's a little bit up in the air still.
Of course, knowing his backstory doesn't excuse what he's done, because he has done horrible things. I mean, I'm not even going to talk about what he did in the Alien Age. And then there's also having the Arl poisoned, trying to assassinate the wardens, betraying the king.
Loghain is a patriot, for better or worse.
Yes,
and you're putting him in B tier above Josephine. Shame.
Because he has a lot of character. Josephine killed an innocent man too, alright? She's not innocent.
Just because of his character development.
If it wasn't for the book, he'd be close to Carver.
Yeah, because in Dragon Age Origins, if you don't know his backstory, he just comes across as an evil man who just wants to do evil things because, I like being evil.
He sees a chance for power, and that's,
Yeah, he is power hungry in Origins, but he is power hungry because he needs the power to preserve his country and to make sure the Orlesians don't take it again, in his eyes, of course.
Which they would, given the opportunity. Orlais isn't exactly innocent.
Well, I guess it depends on who's on the throne. I don't think Celine would. She was maybe gonna try and marry Kaelin, but I think it's not. I mean, that's because they wanted an alliance, right? They wanted peace.
But Celine's also kind of a bad person.
That is true. She is. I mean, most people in Dragon Age are kind of a bad person.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I think Loghain just makes a great villain knowing his backstory.
Oh, yay. Next up is Meryl.
Oh, okay.
Manic pixie elf wife.
Not the biggest fan of Meryl, to be honest. She grew
I'll
on me.
kill you.
I find her wimpy, whiny, a bit like Carver. I do like her narrative, though, of the blood magic and how she basically screws everything up and thinks she's going to fix an Olivia that eventually doesn't even fix, besides the mysterious of maybe she did fix it in the end. And then she was consulting with demons. I was like, you know what, I'm not really a fan of this, Meryl. I don't know why we're doing this. You're just creating bad things for yourself, and I'm not surprised what happened to the Keeper and the Alienage. The only redeemable quality of Meryl is that she's voice acted by Eve Miles from Torchwood, same as Gareth David Lloyd from Torchwood, who voiced like Solas, and I like her voice. So we'll put her better than Anders, but not better than Blackwall, which is C.
We're gonna have to disagree here on that one, Jack. Meryl is my canon Dragon Age 2 romance, and I agree that she's kind of very
annoying, pathetic.
No. Alright, Josephine's going down to a C tier. I enjoy seeing her come from the clan into the alienage and just be completely lost in the city. You get the banter where Varric says she has a ball of yarn to find her way home that she has to constantly unravel. The blood magic, she's very passive and not very confident, but when you push her on blood magic, she gains the confidence, and she constantly justifies it, like she knows what she's talking about, which is, it's unsettling the first time you play it, where it's just like, oh, the innocent little nature girl, and then it's just like, no, I know what I'm doing with demons, and it's like, oh, okay, yep, that was blood magic, that's unnerving. Her romance with Hawke, where she's just constantly blushing basically and can barely maintain a conversation with him when he flirts, and when she comes to visit you at the manor, where it's like she really wants to romance Hawke but knows that the elves wouldn't approve, and then as soon as he's like, do we need their approval, she's like, yeah, no, fair point, just goes for it. And just how much love she shows for Hawke in the romance. Outside of the romance, she doesn't have much going for her besides potentially getting her clan slaughtered or just getting Merithari killed, but I do like Meryl. I think I'd put her above Bethany in B.
I'm sorry. I don't dislike Meryl. I actually used to like her a lot. I thought she was really cute. But apart from that, I don't know. I don't think she is that interesting. I like her arc with the blood magic, but I don't know. She's just not a very smart character, and
Nah,
she
that's
fucks
one
up
way.
a lot of things. And
Yeah.
I like her thing with the mirror.
Yeah.
That bit of lore is interesting, and it's like it's not the first time we see an Illuvian because we have the one in Dragon Age Origins with the Dalish origin. So I like that she can repair the Illuvian. But apart from that, I have the opposite of what Jack has. I used to like her more than I do now, so I agree. I'd put her in C.
And I think
Okay,
the
does
best
she-
thing
does
about
she-
Meryl is the fact that she introduces Fenrir's narrative. That's the first time she talked. We
Yes.
hear about the blade that can end the world.
That's a good
the world.
point.
And I do like that.
She's-
And I think with that introduction, going ahead, it would be really, really cool if she developed into some sort of a Solas sympathizer. Not villain, but were to join his side or become an agent of Fenrir. Maybe she could be
break my
swayed.
whole
He
style.
probably
But I
would.
would like that because she introduced that narrative. She's very sympathetic to the Dalish and the ancient elves. I like that.
It wouldn't make sense for her character, yeah.
You put her below Anders, Jack puts her where she
Mhm.
is, and I put her in mid B, so we'll just keep her there for now.
Yeah, keep her there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, you've hurt me, but don't worry, because this next part's going to be... It's Morrigan, let's go.
Right.
She's S tier. Put her above Alistar.
Do we
She's S
even-
tier. There we go.
Do we
Put her
even
in. Do
need,
we-
yeah, I mean, she's got the snark, the attitude, the amoral decision making, the
I can
goth
fix
We can
girl
talk about her.
aesthetic, the mummy.
We can talk about her for hours.
We can talk about Morrigan. She is unequivocally the poster child of Dragon Age for a reason, because she's fantastic. Claudia Black does an exceptional job of voice acting this fantastically talented witch. The best witch or the best bitch of the wild. She's brilliant. You can't go wrong with Morrigan.
is.
Yes, she can be mean. Yes, she can have amoral decision making, but she's a fantastically well written character. She's integral to the plot of Dragon Age Origins, and she's got that goth girl aesthetic that me and Lambo really like.
If you don't like Morrigan because she's a bit bitchy and a bit amoral, then you also can't say that you like Fenris or Vivian.
Exactly.
You can't like one, not like the other. Morrigan, I absolutely love her. She's my favorite character in the series. She's my favorite romance in the series. Her going from her like standoffish, kind of hostile beginning character and unraveling that and seeing her insecurities and stuff with the romance, all the way down to doing the dark ritual and then doing Witch Hunt, where you join her in the Illuvian and raise Kieran. Seeing her develop through Inquisition as well, especially where she writes messages to the hero for Elden. I even bought the Morrigan romance bundle, which is I'm going to count as other media, where she writes a letter to the hero for Elden saying she's bought lingerie.
Alrighty then.
Hold on, I'm going to go get the letter. I have it. My love, now before that grin reaches your ears, perish the thought that this letter was my idea. 'Tis Kieran who would not give me peace until I wrote to ask how you are faring. Regale us, if you please, with another of your tales that I might read to him in bed. He is particularly fond of those wherein you stop mischief whilst you save the day. Thank you for your most delightful gifts. I shall make certain to wear them the next time you come home. Dream of me until then, my hero for Elden, and have a care, Morrigan.
Aw.
So the hero for Elden bought her some lingerie. That's just my feelings on the romance of Morrigan, not even getting into her arc throughout Origins and Inquisition, and especially having Kieran as an old god baby and the conversation she has with Flemeth.
Yes.
I will not be the mother that you were to me. That
Yeah.
fucking line. I
And then
love
just
that line so fucking
Seeing
much.
how much that hurts Flemeth too is surprising in that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, if any one of you tries to put Morrigan below Alistar, I will kill someone.
I completely agree.
I agree to that. I just think we should maybe... we'll get to it at the end.
I completely agree. When I think about Dragon Age, I think about Morrigan. Like, Morrigan is such a big part of Dragon Age, despite her not being in 2. I feel like even more than Liliana and Alistair. It is also because she is connected to Flemeth, but like, she has been here since the beginning. This was all Flemeth's plan. In Inquisition, even if she doesn't have Kieran, like, she is still supposed to be the vessel for Flemeth. She just is Dragon Age for me. Whether
Absolutely.
she is going to be in Dreadwolf or not, she has been a big part of the games, and yeah, just S tier.
Okay, moving on from the best, we have Ogren.
Oh, Ogren. Who
Who's
doesn't
that?
love... No. What are you talking
S,
about?
of course.
Yeah. Lowbrow humor, frat boy vibes, his drunken nature,
cheating
womanizer,
cheating on his missing wife, abandoning his new child.
insecure, lonely, spent years as a social pariah in Ozma after his wife left him.
Flirts with everyone in camp, including Wynn.
I mean, hey, he has got game. He's got the riz. He is absolute S tier. Move over, Morrigan. Ogren's going right there.
Jack, I'm sorry, did you just say that Ogren has the wrist?
I did. Ogren is better than Carver. I'm dying on that hill. I like Ogren.
What?
I like Ogren more than Carver.
Excuse you.
Lisa,
David-
we have the majority vote. We have the majority vote.
David Gator said that he wrote Ogren to be like Homer Simpson. He's silly. They thought people would love him. They thought people were gonna love Ogren.
They do
He
not.
was funny, silly, like Homer Simpson. He's a lovable idiot. Look at him being a bamboozle. Look at him being silly. Oh, he's
Homer
funny.
Simpson has some redeemable qualities, though.
Yeah, but Ogren's got an axe, and
So does Homer in some of the Tree Houses of Horror.
and he becomes kind of your ride or die friend in Awakening. Let's be honest. He does.
Die.
I mean, maybe he feels that way.
Yeah.
I don't.
You know,
So-
yeah, when I show up to that Warden fortress and I get the feeling that one of my companions from the original story is here to join the Wardens, Ogren is not the first or last that comes to mind.
No.
He's not on the
It's
list.
No,
Awakening
no.
where I think he shines the most.
He abandons his child!
Exactly. So I'm putting him behind Anders and C.
No.
Okay.
All I have to say about Ogren is no. He is going... I will concede, he has some funny banter, and he has some tender moments towards the end of Awakening when he realizes he should care for his child that he potentially could have just died in the joining and just abandoned after he just got together with that chick at the end of Origins. Has some really, really out of touch dialogue nowadays, especially when he's guiding you through the deep roads and you meet the like infected dwarves and he's still just going on. He might be my least favorite companion in the entire series.
Oh.
And that might include...
No, same.
Okay, no, it doesn't include Mass Effect. I can think of worse, but I can't justify Ogren being any higher than anyone on this list. He might be F tier for me.
Yeah, no. Even if you ignore the kind of creepy jokes that he has, like, he's funny sometimes, and yeah, he has kind of a redemption arc in Awakening, but there's just not much there. There's not a lot of depth to him when compared to the other characters, so I'm sorry, he's either gonna be a low D or F for me. Sorry,
So
Jack.
he ends up in low D. Jack,
I definitely think he should be below Carver. I
yeah, no,
prefer Carver.
he is below Carver.
No, I disagree. I disagree.
Jack, why haven't they brought him back yet?
Because he's coming in Dreadwolf. He is the Dreadwolf. He's the Dreadwolf.
Oh no!
Forget the
Oh,
Dreadwolf,
guys.
the real villain.
Solace tears off
Here.
his mask. It was me, Ogren.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Or maybe he's gonna be one of the companions. Hey guys, guess what? He's back.
You've all been
Oh,
waiting
he-
for him. You've loved him since the original. Do you know who I'm
Guys.
talking about? Iconic poster child of Dragon Age. You've loved him from the very start. It's Ogren.
Ogren.
And the crowd goes wild.
So anyway, Sebastian.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I like Sebastian because he is a man of faith and he sticks to it. I like his Scottish accent, which I don't think it's a justifiable reason. He doesn't blow me away though, and honestly I'm lacking for words to say about him because he isn't the most memorable character. I like that he was in the comic and he flirted with Vaya, which kind of goes against everything he said in Dragon Age 2. But hey, maybe he developed and maybe he got outside of the friend zone and was able to kiss a woman. We'll see.
It's a little awkward if you romanced him, I guess.
Yeah, a little bit, isn't it? For that, we will give him better than Anders C.
I think Sebastian's issue is just a lack of content, honestly.
Yeah.
He doesn't join you for the first half of the game.
Yeah.
I played Dragon Age 2 a few months ago. I can't remember anything about Sebastian.
His biggest thing-
I just blank. I know he has looking for his family's bow, and you find out that the reason that the assassins keep coming after him is that a demon has possessed his family's ally. He has the struggle with his brothers to claim the crown. He struggles with his faith, especially after Anders does a kablooey on the Chantry. Romance does improve him a little bit, but he's just so bland. I would put him below Anders, honestly.
Yeah,
really.
I am gonna agree with that. I don't have much else to say on Sebastian. I think the potential is there. He could have been such a good character, but having him join you after playing through half the game is just not enough.
I will say, he does have one of my favorite armors in the series.
Yes, that's
The fur hooded jacket under the white and gold
is
armor.
cool.
It
It
looks
is
really
cool.
good, yeah.
We moving on from Sebastian already?
I think so. There's just not a lot to say about him, I don't
Alright,
think.
another divisive character, Sarah.
Oh, I love Sarah. I like that she is basically like a direct representation of the LGBT community. I like that she is rebellious. I like that she's different as an elf. I like the dynamics of her as a character. I love her plaid weave style. I love her cookies and her stories that are like all trauma-induced but come down to just a cookie break on the rooftops of the inn. Initially, she threw me off guard because I didn't understand her dialogue, and she's like, trousers, breeches, no breeches, cover, over there. And I was like, what? But then as I got to understand her and got to digest her, I really like her. She's a young girl. She represents a bit of like Northern England for me. The voice actress is from Derbyshire, which isn't the north of England, but she has that dynamic, especially because she is from Denham in Ferelden, which is in the northeast. She feels like a Northern Brit with that working class ethos. You know, in the northeast of England, we have a reputation. We're not from the south. We're not all fully educated. We're not fully up to snuff. And she has that dynamic, which I really, really like. It does show a different aspect of Ferelden and a different community that I can relate to as being a Northern Brit. I mean, she's a brilliant Tempest Archer too, which is really fun to play. She's probably one of the most overpowered, if not the most overpowered class. When you use the Tempest effectively, it can do so much dramatic damage. There are a lot of things that I enjoy about her. I love her dialogue with Solas and how different it is, and all blah blah blah, arrow in your face, and the whole the fade is weak here.
One for Coryphanus, right in the dangle bits.
She just has a really brilliant element to it, and her banter is brilliant. Iron Bull, fantastic. With Cassandra, funny conversations to Cole. She's an all-rounder for whatever scenario you're in. If you like her, you're gonna really enjoy everything she brings to the table. So I do see her as Marmite. You either love her or you hate her. I love her, and I'm gonna put her in an A next to Iron Bull.
It took me a few playthroughs to get Sarah. The first playthrough, I didn't really interact with her much. I don't think I triggered enough of her approval to get more of her dialogue. But I do appreciate her character now, especially where she's the, it's not so much like fuck all the royals and nobles of the world, but it's going after those who genuinely like step on the downtrodden. Her side quest proves that when the guy tries to bargain with you after killing one of her friends, quotation marks. Being part of the Red Jennies, which we'd only heard about in the past, and having one was actually pretty interesting in Inquisition. Her romance is really the key to understanding Sarah if you're still kind of on the fence, and also just the fact that you don't really expect her story to be about faith, but it is halfway through the game where she said that that's why she's part of the Inquisition, is that she wants to see if this is all real.
Yeah. And
how she mentions like she does pray, but like she never gets an answer. Like they don't actually talk to you, not like they're supposed to and stuff like that. And she's just a funny, lovable character. And in Trespasser, potentially making you a Jenny, you can also get married to her, and the Inquisitor can go off and join the Red Jennies as one of the ending slides and get crossbow arms.
Yeah, I love that so much.
Brilliant.
I don't think I'd put her above Isabella, but I would have her above Aveline. So I think just at the top end of B tier for me would be for Sarah.
I have loved Sarah since the beginning. I think she's really funny, and I love how she keeps the Inquisitor grounded, or at least if you get along with her, if your Inquisitor gets along with her, she's the one that tries to keep the Inquisitor grounded, and she's like, you know, to all these people, you're just a scary, big person with a lot of power, and they need to see that you're also just a person, like any one of us. And I also like that she's different from other elves. As she says, she's not elfy. I do think it's a bit of a challenge to romance her as an elf because of that.
For sure.
And
you have to give up your heritage, basically.
yeah, she does get better with that in Trespasser, I believe. I've never finished a romance. I was doing a playthrough where I did a Sarah romance, but I haven't finished it yet. But I do believe she gets more accepting, and she's like, you know, it's fine, you can have your elfiness, and I do my thing. She's a bit more mature in Trespasser as well.
If you're not romancing her as a Canary, you're doing it wrong. She loves Canary.
I was romancing her as a dwarf.
I think she, like, in order of who she loves, she loves Canary, likes dwarves, tolerates elves. You're just human. Okay. Yeah, I think in terms of approval, that's how she goes. Like, yeah, like either way, she loves the tall and the short. She hates the middlingly average.
I also like that if you don't romance her, she has her own romance arc with Dagna.
Yeah.
Two characters characters I never expected to.
And they're perfect for
But
each other.
They're adorable
I
together.
always thought that ending, until you guys told me, I thought that ending slide was her with Scout Harding.
No, she's reserved for Dragon Age Dreadwolf. We all know it.
Oh,
we all know it.
yes.
We all know
yeah,
it.
she has to. She has to be, right? Come on.
The Inquisitor didn't get to flirt with her for nothing, alright? She deserves romance.
What you were going to say something else. Another word that begins with F.
She never fried her an egg.
Okay.
Anyway.
I would place her actually where she is. I'd place her after Bull in A. Yeah.
Okay, so you two say A, I say just below Isabella, so yeah, just leave her where she is.
A lot of people that don't like her don't see past surface level, and when you really start to look into Sarah's character, there's just a lot more to her.
Even when you romance her, like, that fear of death comes through when she has a nightmare about you dying, and she freaks the fuck out. Promise me you won't die, and you're like, I can't do that. And like, she has a panic attack. That's actually what it is.
She has this line where she's like, and if this is real, that must mean this is also real, and that can't be real because that's scary.
Yeah,
and
like,
it is something to do with
if he's an old god, that makes the old gods real, which makes old gods breach the golden city, makes the golden city real, makes the throne real. A throne needs a butt means the maker's real.
It's like something that I sometimes fear is the idea of living forever. If I do what I do believe is real, means that I won't die. I will not die, and that for me is even scarier than dying, because it means everything is real and that I literally will live forever and ever and ever. And if I trigger that anxiety, I will not forget it, and I will be scared. I will have a panic attack. So I can understand that from her point of view too. Of if it all is true, then that means so many other things.
Yeah, and I think that's where her fear of magic comes from. Because if I remember correctly, she likes to fight enemies that are like real. She likes to fight bad people, evil nobles. She likes to mess with those. But demons, things that she can't grasp, she can't comprehend. That's what she's really afraid of. What was it that she was scared of in the Fate? Because everyone sees something that they are personally scared of when they're in the Fate.
Let me look
Was
it
it
up.
nothing? Was it nothingness for Sarah?
Yeah, nothing.
I think that is related to her fear of death, because this is going to be a very deep conversation, I'm sorry, but depending on what you believe in, after death there's nothing. And I think that is related to her fear of magic and things that she cannot grasp, that she cannot comprehend. Yeah.
The breach was her worst nightmare come true. And you even mention it where she's just like, we need gold to run an army, because like we need like powers and stuff, because you can't just shoot an arrow into the breach. I tried, it didn't come down. That was weird.
Exactly. She likes things that she can pierce with an arrow. The breach is something she cannot kill with an arrow. That is why I like Sarah a lot, because there is just a lot more to her when you look past her surface level goofiness, which I like that part of her too.
Now, going from someone who has a lot of layers, someone to who is just made of a layer, we have Shale.
Shale!
I'll keep it short and sweet. C between Meryl and Anders. I like Shale. Don't love Shale. I like Shale. I like the bird poo references.
Kind of one note, but has a lot of depth when you take her into the deep roads, and has one of the best quotes in the game of, I will miss this place. It was full of darkspawn and detestable things, but it didn't have a single one of those malicious, spiteful little demons. Birds.
I would say a high C, and that is not necessarily because of Shale herself. I love Shale, she is fucking funny, but it's more so because of the potential, like what her being there, what it means.
She didn't have a lot in Asunder, but she did have a little bit more there, especially with Wynn as well. There is so much potential for her to be Interventor.
Yeah, exactly, because I believe she was going there.
Yeah, she was going there to try and get her body, like a new body, essentially.
I would put her in high C, not only because of her personality, but also because of the potential that the character has and what it could mean for Dreadwolf and the future of the dwarves and the goblins.
It'd be cool if she's like our connection to Kal Sharok, like she ended up going there for some reason. Oh, I wonder how this is gonna go. We have the egg next.
Right, move Morrigan.
Ooh.
Move Morrigan.
Nah,
No, for me. Please move Morrigan out of the way. Solas is my favourite Dragon Age character.
Move away, Morrigan.
At least one of them. I love everything about Solas's complexity. He doesn't leave... The biggest thing I love, a bit dramatic, but he doesn't leave Llewellyn for no reason. He isn't just moving on because he's a coward or anything like that. He actually has a very justifiable reason why he leaves Llewellyn. And in that romance moment, he actually tells Llewellyn why he is leaving. Well, he's literally giving Llewellyn the choice of, I am Fenrirel the Dreadwolf. If you know who I am, I will leave this place and we will go together and we'll live happily ever after. But Llewellyn didn't know who he was, and Llewellyn didn't pick up on the signs of removing Valesline being connected to the Dread Wolf. And because of that, he noticed in that brief moment, okay, actually, I do have a moment here where I can leave this all and I can actually continue my plan to destroy the Veil and return my kingdom. And that's what he did. But he has a very, very good reason of why he did what he did. And while it's heartbreaking and crushing, that is the true fundamental reason why. And it's brilliant, and it's a beautiful narrative. We didn't actually have like any sexual relations, at least from what we infer. Yes, there is a dialogue option of I would have never laid with you under false pretenses. The idea that he actually removes her Valesline is kind of this metaphorical way of like, I don't want to be too pretentious here, but like a metaphorical way of like them unraveling in this romantic moment of he's taking something very, very valuable from her that she can never get back, and he did that, and he took that from her in this very, very beautiful romantic scene. It was beautifully done, where you don't actually need like an explicit sex scene to drive this romantic tension. You have this, which is actually intimate. Even better than a sex scene.
I really appreciate that there is no sex scene.
Yeah.
The romance is so good as it is, and it didn't need a sex scene.
That's even more powerful than having sex, which obviously making love, it's got its perks, absolutely. But that was even more beautiful and made it even more tragic that he was actually doing this, knowing what he's doing, and she didn't know what it was. And that's why he was like, actually, yeah, I can leave. Oh, there's so much I could go on. From the get-go, of course, he knows how to fix the things, how to lead the Inquisitor into a certain way, because it's all his entire machination. But the way he comes across, I love him from the second. That smug bastard. I love everything. But fundamentally, I love the Llewellyn romance. I'm a part-time Sir Llewellyn. I'm a full-time Josephine Mancer, but I love piggybacking on the Sir Llewellyn relationship. And I do think my first import into Dreadwolf will be my Sir Llewellyn state, just to see what that goes into. I understand his scheme. I get why he's doing what he's doing. He's entered this world. He sees everybody like Neanderthals, former versions of themselves, the split reality of demons and spirits, the way mankind is to enter this human empire taking over the entire world, using his culture as their reason for existing and pretending and having this pride that they are the very best version, the very best kingdom ever, and him being like, actually, you're not. I don't support it, but I understand why he is the way he is. So many things I love about him. I could go on and on and on, and I will in videos, but for just this, I love him. He is one of my favourites in the Dragon Age universe, and I cannot wait to see him in Dread Wolf. I just hope that he actually transforms into the Dread Wolf, if at all possible. But love Solas.
My favourite aspects of Solas were, throughout the main game, being able to talk to him about what he's seen in the Fade, and his like reasoning behind spirits and everything. Like, you can speak with him and like agree that spirits are like their own kinds of people. He saw the Warden in the Tower of Ashal in Origins. He's like a wise hermit for most of the game. A lot of people say that if it wasn't for the fact that he was the Dread Wolf and there was that whole twist at the end, he wouldn't be that great of a character. And I would agree, but you can't deny that that is still part of his character. That's like saying Morrigan wouldn't be that interesting if she wasn't Flameth's daughter. Leliana wouldn't be that interesting if she wasn't an assassin. It's still something they did. Sure, he's been shown off in every piece of marketing material, and I think he might be tearing down the veil soon. We don't know.
Really? You
but
sure about that?
You cannot deny that he's had a major impact on Dragon Age, and besides Morrigan is the face of Dragon Age at the moment. Him, Varric, and Morrigan are the three faces of Dragon Age at the moment.
Yeah, forgive it getting Ogren.
I would add Liliana to that as well. Get out of here!
He has one of the most touching side quests in Inquisition, in my opinion, of like finding his spirit friend and just seeing him like converse with her. The whole like trying to find her in the Fade and seeing something new growing there. Seeing him absolutely murder a bunch of idiot mages for what they did, and just the just everything he's done for the lore. Even if you don't like Elven lore, you cannot deny that Dragon Age lore has been expanded to a whole new degree thanks to Solas and his actions, and I'm sure he's going to have a very happy ending at the end of the next game and not be tragic in any way.
Yeah, for sure.
I would also have him in S, but I'm biased and would have Morrigan above him, that is all.
I am a sucker for happy endings, right? I love good endings to stories, but I also love me some tragedy. I also love elves.
Really?
So,
I have. Who was Starion?
I don't know. Funny story. When I started playing Inquisition, I wasn't sure who to romance, and I already knew Solas was supposed to be the true antagonist. So I was like, ha, I'm gonna romance him. It's gonna be funny. And now I'm crying. But
Oh no, he broke my heart.
now I'm stuck in Sullivan Hell. Oh no. I ended up loving the romance. As I said, I really appreciate that the romance doesn't have any sex scenes, especially because, like, I'm ace, so I feel like I can connect with this kind of romance better than if there was a sex scene. So I really appreciate that. Then there is the whole thing with him being the Dread Wolf and the whole stuff with all of the elven lore. Inquisition was so heavy on the elven lore, even without Solus. There's a lot of stuff about the elves there. I feel like his romance makes it extra interesting because you have this whole connection. Like, you have, if you romance Morgan or Alistair in Dragon Age Origins, that makes the romance a lot more interesting because it's so connected with the story. Same thing with Anders in Dragon Age 2, and this is also the case with Solus in Dragon Age Inquisition. Solus is the antagonist, but I feel like a good villain, a good antagonist, is a hero in his mind, and that is what he is. He thinks he's doing what's right. He's trying to fix his mistakes, even though it's going to probably kill everyone in Thedas, or at least it's going to be chaos, the world will burn, as he said. He's still going through with this because he wants to fix his mistake. He wants to restore the world as it was before. And I like that if you're his friend or if you romanced him, you're the one that actually almost changes his mind and makes him realize that, oh, the people in Thedas are not just some tranquil, half-dead zombies walking around there. They're actual people. I also like that if you're not his friend and if you're enemies, that he feels justified in what he does.
Yeah.
Oh, he's such a pompous dick.
He is. I mean,
Punching him is so
pride.
satisfying. Only when you treat him like a rival, because he's such a dick.
Oh yeah, he can be, definitely. I also like that he is so close to telling Llewellyn the truth, but just at the last second, he switches his story and he's like, oh, Valasleen, they used to be blah, 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 blah. And then he changes his story. I also like that, in a way, he's trying to protect Llewellyn from him, but also from herself, because the reason he breaks up with her is because he is afraid that if he told her his plan, she'd say, okay, I'll join you. Let's go. As he says, he is walking the path of death.
Walk through the shadows of the valley of death.
Basically.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to do that to Llewellyn. He knows he needs to walk this path alone, and so he will.
Selfish.
And he is, but also he feels like he's doing the right thing. In a way, he's not being selfish. Because
I like
he
that
could
he
have
says,
had both.
I don't want you to
potentially.
see what I will become. As in, like, he's going to become something, as in, like, the Dread Wolf, or Red Lyrium infused, or Blighted, or whatever. Yeah, it could just mean what he will do, as in kill thousands of people, but also the idea that he's actually going to become something different. Even change his purpose if he is changing from pride to something else. I love that idea.
But at the exact same time, if he knows Llewellyn so deeply, he knows she's gonna fucking try and stop him or try and go after him. She's gonna see.
He knows. He knows what he's doing, and he knows what's gonna happen. If you're in a romance or if you're friends with him, I like how he's still gonna go through with his plan, but he saved you from the Kunari, because if you're probably all gonna die, at least you can die in comfort, you know?
Yeah.
You can have a few years of peace.
And I don't know if it happens when you romance him, but when you're his friend, doesn't he say, like, I hope you stop me, or something along those lines?
I know that when you romance him, you can say something in Elven, and it means, our love will endure, and then he says, I wish it could. So maybe that's what you're thinking. I know!
No, it's not that.
Yeah.
Lastly, though, also can I just say Garrett David Lloyd, also sexy ass voice.
Yeah.
Makes a character even more charming, even more intriguing. Welsh being represented in video games is brilliant too.
I want to say S above Morrigan.
Yes.
No, you think it's lower. You want the majority.
More
You do.
integral to Dragon Age than Morrigan.
You do.
Wait, Lisa, you're picking a favorite between me and Jack right now.
Vernon!
Oh no!
Vernon!
Oh no!
Vernon!
I am sorry. I mean, he is an elf, so I'm gonna have to put him above Morrigan.
Yes!
At least Morgan still loves me.
But, whoa. Lambo, you can't say that.
Yes, I can. You broke your heart.
There's probably a lot more I can say about Solus, but I can't think of anything right now.
I think we just spent 15 minutes on Solus.
Yeah, we did.
We did.
We did.
Oh, this should be quick and easy. Sten.
I like Sten, but I like his development in the comics. I'm going to give him a C next to Shale.
Yeah, I'd probably put him the same. He's very dry and fatalistic in Origins. You kind of get a hint at the Canary Qunari, but not as much as Iron Bull. But him becoming the Arashok and being a major player going forward is definitely what gives him a lot of his character now. And I'm sure
Okay.
Dreadwolf will improve upon that.
I
Hopefully.
hope so.
Well, we have to see him if the
do.
Qunari are a big threat as well.
It's the arrow shock, for goodness sake. You can't let the Antam go unchecked with Tamastra and Rasan. He has to get in there and sort her out.
Yeah. What is it that he said to Alistair? Was it in Origins or was it in the comics? I know
It
he
was in
said
the
something
comics.
like, I hope we don't meet on the battlefield, right?
He says to the Warden at the
maybe
final
that's what I'm
scene, he's
thinking of.
like, one day when the Qunari come down south, I pray we don't find each other on the battlefield.
Yeah.
I think he said something similar in the comics, but not to that extent. That the line you're thinking of
Okay.
is at the very end of Origins as you're like leaving the palace.
I would put him in a low C. I'd put him above Sebastian, but below Anders, because I still think Anders has more to his character than...
I agree to that, to be fair.
Yeah.
It's the chest hair himself. So
Hell
before anyone even says anything. Above Alistair, just below Morrigan, yeah?
No.
Ooh.
I love Varric, but I'm going to put him S tier between Cole and Liliana. I like Liliana a dab more, but I love Varric. And I mean, his chest hair, Brian Bloom's narration, the storytelling dwarf, his humour, the fact that he's such a friendly, nice dwarf in Dragon Age 2 to Hawk, and that friendship enduring. He's your best friend. But you know who the better best friend dwarf is in Dragon Age? You know it.
Vandal.
Oh, Greg.
I don't want to hear it. Get out of here.
It's Varric. Everybody, look, the only thing that I'm getting frustrated with Varric is Bioware marketing the shit out of him and being like, by the way, he's in Dragon Age Dreadwolf. By the way, he forgot and got amnesia in Dragon Age Trespasser DLC and doesn't realise that the Inquisitor needs a brand new hero, even though everybody in the room, especially Scott Harding, was there.
Scott Harding was in the room.
He's just getting dementia. Kirkwall has taken a toll on him.
But
As I said last time,
that's just
Varric-
Bioware's marketing.
That's Varric. But as I said last time, Varric, okay, he's getting older. He's been through a lot.
Yeah.
Harding,
He's gonna die.
she has no excuse.
Exactly. I love Varric. His nicknames, Chuckles, you know, he's a brilliant character. He's so fantastically well written. I wasn't as hot on him in Inquisition, but that's because he was facilitating a different role versus being Hawk's best friend, because he can relate to Hawk. So then, not fearing the Inquisitor, but having some reverence for the Inquisitor and not being able to relate to the Inquisitor as much, which is to be expected considering the Inquisitor was this herald-like figure. You know, I get that. So I do understand it, but still wasn't as fun as he was in Dragon Age 2. I understand why, and he had more stakes at play too. But no, Varric's iconic, and I hope he is an advisor in Dreadwolf, helping our new character out, because I can't not get enough of his chest hair and his jokes, and just, he'll add some levity to our journey, as well as how much he knows about Solas. He's brilliant.
Can I add to that? Because I feel like it makes sense for him to not be as fun as he was in Dragon Age 2, in terms of like how he behaves and his personality. In Dragon Age 2, he is in Kirkwall. That is his home. He is with very close friends. I mean, him and Hawk, at least in my playthrough, my canon playthrough, they're best friends.
Yeah.
And in Inquisition, he's in a completely different situation. He's with people that he doesn't know very well. Things between him and Cassandra are a little
Dicey.
tense in the beginning. So he's probably a bit out of his element. So he is not as extroverted as he was in Dragon Age 2. So I can completely understand why he is not the way he was in Dragon Age 2. And I feel like when Hawk is there is a part where you enter, or you're about to enter the war room in Skyhold, and you see Hawk and Varric talking. And I feel like that is a moment where Varric is, I don't remember what their conversation was, but in my head there was always...
They're talking about the damages in Kirkwall, I think.
I always felt like there was Hawk and Varric, like Hawk comforting Varric a little bit, and it's how I feel when I have not seen a very good friend of mine in a very long time, and you start catching up, and you start talking about things that are bothering you, things that you've been through, and your friend is there to make you feel better. That's always what that conversation was in my mind, kind of. With Hawk, he feels comfortable.
I think Hawk asks if he wants to go back, and he's like, "No, I need to finish this." Like he
that's
wants
what
to
it
go
was.
home. But he's either talking about the damages to the city or the death toll. Because I think at this point, Varric's close to becoming Vodkins.
I feel like that conversation was Hawk comforting him and him feeling a little more comfortable now that his best friend is here.
Varric is just and like his storytelling, his constant jokes. Like the first thing he says to Harding is, "You'd be Harding in Heights." Oh, forget it. I think I'd put him above Liliana, but yeah, no, definitely S tier.
I love Varric, absolutely. I think I'm going to put him in S tier as well. I think I agree with him being above Cole, below Liliana, because I think he's also very much a part of the Dragon Age series. Even apart from the marketing that BioWare is doing now, like ever since Dragon Age 2, like he is the narrator of Dragon Age 2. A lot of people want to romance Varric, which I completely understand, but I am actually going to be bold and say I am okay with us not being able to romance him. I am fine with it because I really like the friendship dynamic that Hawk and Varric have.
Yeah.
It reminds me of some of the friendships that I have in real life, and I just really like their banter and how they tease each other.
If it was up to me, I'd be able to romance every companion. Give it the Baldur's Gate treatment. Everyone can romance everyone.
I mean, yeah, that'd be good for Dreadwolf.
And there's only number one on that list, which is obviously Oghren.
Next up is Vivienne.
That was a disgusting grunt sound by Cassandra, that.
Jack, we need to talk.
Yeah, no,
Sit down.
I was going to say, Cassandra's disgust towards Varric in the opening of Inquisition is how I feel towards Oghren.
Yeah.
So, Vivienne. I really like Vivienne. I like the fact that she is very controversial for a mage. She supports the Templars. I found myself agreeing with her, but I was a rogue, so I couldn't relate to it, and I was like, yes, sure. But the things that I like is when you're kind of on the rooftop looking over Skyhold and you're just kind of gossiping with her. That's the kind of dynamic she's got, where she's like, we'll have to get you a new doublet, darling. I have to go to Orlais with you, darling. And I'm like, yeah, I'm up for it. Let's get a dashing new doublet. But that was my original Trillian. When I'm playing as a Soul of Ellen and a mage, I completely disagree with her. But I do like having a proper... I love having Sarah, Cassandra and Vivienne in a party banter, because they are all brilliant. They are so fun.
It's like having Isabella, Aveline, and Meryl in Dragon Age 2. It's like these two are either at each other's throats or singing each other's praises, and brilliant. It constantly flips.
Yeah, and that was my first ever party on Inquisition. Sarah, Cassandra, Vivienne, and I loved it. It was brilliant, and I don't think I'll ever do that again, but it was so good for a first playthrough. For that, and for the memories, I'm going to give her the highest C.
I think I'd put her just below Meryl, above Shale in C. Vivienne, definitely the most unique amongst the companions of wanting the mages to be locked up, but it's not just the fact that she's been, like, brainwashed or conditioned to think that, it's more that she knows the dangers of magic better than anyone.
Yeah.
Like, a fire is still a fire, it can still burn, things of that nature. I do like that if you converse with her, that your character can, like, know a good friend of hers if he's a Trevelyan. Yeah, if you're a Trevelyan
she's from the Ostwick
mage,
Tower in the free matches.
Mentions like, did you know, like, Senior Enchanter yada yada, and you can say that was your, like, teacher. Then Vivienne tells you that she died during the revolt because some students killed her. But yeah, like, you can have a connection to Vivienne. And I also like that Vivienne is open to your suggestion of, I agree that mages should be, like, controlled, but it should be mages teaching the mages as opposed to the Templars, and, like, she can kind of go along with that, and if she becomes divine, she starts to put that in place, even if it's a bit controversial. Her side quest of putting up that brave front, but then seeing her vulnerable side when her lover is dying, even after you go through the trouble of getting the Wyvern heart for her and everything, and just seeing that side of her. But then also, like, taking her to the Winter Palace and just seeing her in full, like, not so much politician, but just, I guess, queen mode. Like, just it's Vivienne. She is Vivienne. She knows what she's doing. Her introduction of, like, freezing the noble that slights you, and then if you're like, yeah, I don't care if he lives or dies, and she just basically shit talks him for a minute straight.
You don't want to mess with her.
I'd say above Shale, below Meryl, but Vivienne is still a very nice character. A unique mage for the series. Her and Bethany would get along swimmingly.
I respect Vivienne as a character. I like that she's a unique mage, as you put it. I just could not really connect with her. I don't like her as much as compared to the other companions. I feel like if we had gotten a little bit more content with her, I could have liked her a little bit more. If we could have explored her personality a little bit more, yeah. But as for what we got, I think I'd put her in a low C.
We'll go between Blackwall and Meryl just to even it out. Down to the final two, we have Wynne.
Grandma!
Grandma always makes me smile in her conversations. I think she's a little bit underrated just because of, I mean, doesn't she tank Oghren for pints? And she doesn't joke with Alistair? She has quite a few funny bits of banter. And And I think Asunda really gives her a lot more context.
Yeah, especially since she died.
Yeah.
Grandma. But given the fact that Origins has such a brilliant cast of characters, I barely brought her along. But she's wise, caring, determined, resilient, and a little bit sassy. I believe Zevran says something about her too.
Yeah, no. She is very much like the condescending, like, grandparent.
Yeah.
Who, no matter who you're romancing, she'll shit talk, and then the next night she'll be like, actually, they're fine. even with Morrigan, she's like, that's a bad choice, and the next night she's like, I still think it's a bad choice, but it's clear that she loves you as well.
Yeah.
Her whole thing with, like, she technically died in the tower, but was it a spirit of faith?
I believe so, yes.
It was a spirit of faith.
A spirit of faith granted her the spirit healer like classification and allowed her to protect the younglings a little bit longer, and then gave her the strength to keep going on to fight the blight with you.
I like her more than Meryl, so just above Meryl.
I'd put her just below Meryl next to Shale, which I think makes sense having her next to Shale. How about you, Lisa? How do you feel about Grandma?
I like her. She is a little bit similar to Vivienne, as in she also likes the Circle Tower. She realizes how dangerous mages can be. She agrees that we need the Circle and that we need to be careful with our magic. So I think she is a bit similar to Vivienne in that regard. Yeah, I pretty much agree with both of you, actually. I think I'd put her above Meryl too, because I like her a little bit more than Meryl. She is also technically an abomination, not the horrible
Kind.
I can't
kind.
believe Anders ripped off Win.
He did.
Last
I'm not
but
sure
not
if we will.
least, we have the slut of Antiva. We have
Zevran.
Zevran.
I like Zevran. I never romanced him. I like the fact that he does give you poetry, though. He's a brilliant character. He's wonderfully written. I love the fact that when you do develop a friendship with him, it can kind of show him that life isn't just about the crows and he could actually live without it. And I like his character development. But again, haven't romanced him. I've just passively experienced a lot of his story. I'll put him in between Aveline and Isabella.
I think I'd put him just below Josephine, because I haven't done his romance in a while. A lot of his humor and like witticisms and stuff are more deflections, because he genuinely doesn't see himself as being worth like your attention or worth like the life that you're able to provide for him away from the crows. Then after Origins basically turns into Fenris, but instead of Magisters, he starts killing crows. He's always entertaining and joyful to tag along. It is a little bit heartbreaking if you don't build up your approval enough and you have to kill him for the second time later in the game. He showed up in Dragon Age 2 just to sleep with Isabella for a second, and he had a war table mission in Inquisition where you could help him kill more crows. And Liliana gets to talk with him for a bit there. And if we're going to Antiva, we're probably going to see or at least hear from him again, so it'll be interesting to see where he goes. But besides moving him down a little bit further in the B tier, I'm very happy with Zevran as a character.
Yeah, I like Zevran a lot too. He's funny. His romance is actually pretty sweet. If I remember correctly, if your warden dies, he actually promises to like never romance anyone else ever again.
Yeah.
So that's really sweet. Also, I think it's bugged if you played a game without mods, and there's a mod to fix it. If you flirt with him in Dragon Age 2 and he romanced the warden, he has a voice line where he says like, yeah, nah, I'm not interested. So that's really cute. Yeah, he gives insight into the crows. Well, he's the one that introduces us to the crows. I hope we're gonna see him in Dreadwolf. I am not sure about that. Would be great if he makes a cameo, but you know, he can be dead, so. Would I place him above Aveline or below? I think I'd place him below Aveline.
Okay, so just go in between
let's do that with you both.
above Logan. Ooh. Okay, then that is the final list. We have Solus at the very top and Ogren at the bottom. Do we want to move anyone?
Yes. Put Carver below Ogren.
No.
No!
That is
I
non-negotiable.
will not stand for that.
Put Ogren next to Solas.
Okay, Ogren goes lower.
No. Ogren is D. Maybe we should consider Dorian A. I think we did all kind of high end of A.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
I feel like we've just annoyed any Dorian lovers by putting this down a tier. So
Sorry, Marshall.
We have to move some other people, otherwise this is going to seem targeted.
No, we do. Let's put Sebastian in D.
Okay. I think Josephine should be above Logain.
I think so too.
I disagree, but it's
No,
2 against 1.
2
so
against
it's fine.
1.
Like, not
Democracy.
no lower for Logain, but yeah.
Alright, maybe that's just because I'm biased, but I think Aveline should be above Isabella.
No.
I disagree.
Alright, fine.
So Isabella
Fine.
has more of a personality and more outside media to inform more of her character.
Okay,
and,
fair.
And the
Fair, fair.
line. What was the line again?
The line, Jack. You just set us up.
And the line. Slap my ass and call me Andraste.
I think we should swap Bethany and Blackwall. That's my only other thought on. No, okay.
I think I actually have to agree, just because he has more content. Yeah, no, sorry. Sorry.
It's all right.
Is Bethany above Vivian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lisa, don't you dare.
I like Bethany more, but is she more interesting than Vivienne? If you look at
it's
the
a tier list,
purely
though.
the
I was
characters,
gonna say, like,
It's
the
our
concept of the
list.
characters.
It's-
me looking at this, like, if this was my list, I wouldn't be able to put Bethany above Meryl, personally.
Bethany is just a cute mage.
Yeah.
Vivienne is, as a concept, a little more interesting.
Yeah, but as a concept, she's more interesting. But deep down to us, because this is our tier list, is she? No, she's not.
So Jack is saying no. I'm saying yes. Lisa, you're the tiebreaker.
Nah, leave her as she is.
Beyond that, besides Morrigan and Solace potentially being switched, I think I'm happy with that list.
Yeah, I think I agree.
I think I am pretty happy with that, besides Josephine being in B tier. But
I think
I'm happy
Carver
with that.
should be a little higher.
I think
We
it should be
all
lower.
we
Okay.
all have our misgivings with the list.
We do.
But
Okay,
as
okay.
a general
One more
vibe-
thing.
Democracy.
Can we swap Sebastian and Carver?
No. Carver
No,
is staying
I
there.
can't justify
Okay.
No,
that.
Carver
I'm sorry.
sucks. I'm gonna
Sorry,
remove Ogren
I
from
know-
this and put him at the top and Carver's at the bottom.
If we
I
all
know
had
there are
one-
people out there that love Carver, and I tried, okay? Trust me, I tried.
If we all had a veto for this list, Carver would be up thanks to Lisa, Ogren would be in F tier thanks to me, and then Ogren would be back in D tier because of Jack.
Ogren would be in S tier because of me. He'd be in D tier because of you.
Either way, he stays in D. I'm happy with that.
That's because he's got the biggest D.
I
He
am
is a
done.
massive D.
Goodbye.
He is a massive
Okay,
D.
the Dread Crumb tier list. It's not too far from what I'd have.
This is the canon tier list. This is what you have to believe. Everybody know. This is the community.
This
by-
is fact.
This is.
I just
this
want you
is-
guys to know that there are 3 hosts of this episode. You can just kill the one that you disagree with.
Hey!
And Jack
Hold up.
Jack is trying to enforce his opinion on you guys.
Hey! You can't kill me!
Stop telling people they have to agree with this. Some people really like Ogren. They're wrong, but they really like Ogren.
Some people, unfortunately, really like Meryl. I don't understand why.
I felt targeted, Jack.
Of course, this is all our opinion. It's all subjective. It is all jokes.
It's all for fun.
Based on our very loose opinions of what we like and what we define as a Dragon Age game. But please do let us know your top tier list down below. Who's in your S? Who's in your D? And
Yes.
where is Ogren on your list? Also, don't forget, we haven't used our F tier, but who is in your F tier?
I love how out of everyone in D, Ogren has more content than both the others combined and is still the worst.
He's not. That's your opinions. For me, he should be higher. He's at least better than Carver. But I'll die on that hill.
Sure, you do that. That's fine.
It's fine.
Okay, well,
we have
guys,
Solas at the
I
top.
think-
Now, if people ever ask us how we feel about certain characters, they can just look at this tier list and either agree or vomit. Either or, they know how we feel.
I think it'd be fun if we do this again after Dreadwolf. Maybe not with all of the companions, but
Ranking
at
the
least
new
with the
companions
ones
that
that...
we have.
Well, yeah, that. And also, if there aren't any companions or characters that were in the previous games and that are also in Dreadwolf, we could also take that.
If we see Shale or if we see Fenris
Yeah.
or anything like
Or
okay.
Dorian.
Yeah, see if their appearance in Dreadwolf and if they have any more character development. See if that changes our opinion.
It isn't going to be too fair though, because Harley Qunn's going to go above Solus.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It's gonna be hard to top Solus, okay?
Like,
I mean, no, he's,
yeah.
he's
Well.
kind of a
And
bottom,
more
honestly.
again.
What did Lambo?
How dare you?
Jesus also lots of bottom.
Oh my god.
I think that is the perfect place to end this podcast.
Yeah, I'm done. Bye.
Lisa's gonna go cry.
I'm on the
And
floor.
Jesus.
with that, let us all know your tier lists, and thank you for joining the latest episode of
Following the Dread Crumbs. Yay.
Yay! Thank you, everybody. See you all in the next one. Lambo's dying. Goodbye.
Bye.